Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Clownz with Four Guys with Quarters, aka Carlo, as some people said to me. Hey, you should use your real name because it might help. Make you more personal. So, by the way, it's Carlo with Four Guys with Quarters, and we are live. This is probably like episode 57 of season 2 by now. I lost track somewhere along the way. Um, I'll have to ask my analytical guy VJ where we're at on that. So, without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce the panel. As you guys know, we have some topics from this past week that we'll talk about. Some interesting stuff. So hang around for that. But somebody who doesn't always make an appearance on the show, but he's here today, is the one and only guy who knows how to break bread with Dread. What's up, Treadpool?
Not much. How
Beautiful.
you guys doing?
You're
So
good, man.
happy to be here, man. Right? I'm finally off and awake. So yeah, let's do this. Oh wait, was I supposed to quote something? I am the law.
There you go. You know what? You are the law, and I hope that you teach the law to Flamish, the American law.
$5 in Robux.
I
Was
just
that
want to know
a
who's chewing in the
Love you.
background.
Oh,
My
sorry,
bad.
guys. I forgot to put my mic on mute.
That's
Oh,
all
I think
right.
that was both of us?
That's one faux pas we do not have on Breaking Bread with Dread, or we do have the faux pas. You do not mouth chew.
Nom, 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 nom.
Oh, we mouth chew on Breaking Bread with Dread. You just don't hear it,
Well, we make sure, you don't hear it.
but you hear the other people. Flamish, if you're in the chat and you feel like hopping in and you're not too sleepy, you can always hop in. But you're probably on World of Warcraft right now playing Shadowlands. Finally got in after 8-hour waiting period. But also on the panel today is the one and only video game analytical genius that needs to be hired by Microsoft because he probably knows more analytical stuff than their own CFO. What's up, VJ?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me back on the show today. I really appreciate it, Clowns. I'm looking forward to discuss this week's topics with the panel, and definitely ignoring the chat. Let's move forward with it.
All right, sounds good. And no
No.
Flamish. We are not changing the ball shapes in. Oh no, that was Tushy. No, we're gonna stick with regular golf balls and golf with friends next time on game night, Tushy. We have to. VJ, were you gonna say anything else? I'm sorry if I cut you off.
No, I was just saying I wasn't really going to ignore the chat. It's just a technical experiment I wanted to deploy. It's to nudge and keep everyone awake and listening, just in case they're not hearing us.
Oh, they just have to drink some coffee. Maybe we should get a sponsorship from Red Bull or something and send it out to them. Everyone except Flamish would get the Red Bull. Everyone except Flamish because he's already
Oh,
wired
man.
up. He's already wired up.
I was gonna say, could you imagine him any more wired?
Oh, he drank 4 Red Bulls a night that I was gonna wait in line for my Series X, and he was gonna hang out with me all night in line, but that never happened. Because I got it the next day, and he had drank all the Red Bulls. He couldn't sleep. And the man, the myth, the legend, with all the muscle power of Chicago, Illinois. It is the very one and only Hulkin Midway. What's up, man?
What's up, everyone? It's Illinois Clowns.
That's
Illinois.
Clowns.
What did
Illinois.
I
Get
say?
that right.
What did I say?
Illinois.
Illinois.
Illinois. What's going on, guys? Hey, Dreadpool, you miss Chicago at all?
I do, but not right now.
Exactly. It was snowing this morning, and now it's a very, very cold side rain. Definitely beautiful weather for this type of year, only for the brave. But
Better question: do you miss Florida?
yes. And I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, VJ.
Yes, sir.
VJ, I will never tell you about how Microsoft Store teased me. It's just too painful.
What the hell happened?
I almost had a Series X, man.
Oh my
I
goodness.
had it in the cart, and I was pressing the button, and it was always like, "Oops, there's a problem." And then I had to refresh the thing, and oh, it's gone.
You've
It's
been
just
scared.
terrible. I got to get my mind off it. Let's get into these topics, Clownz. Back to you.
All right, man. And I want to introduce the wonderful, the amazing, the super, super talented Mav, aka Fun Speculation, who has his own podcast with his wife and guests, and does other amazing streams on community game nights, and Rex Flamish all the time in Wreckfest. It's Fun Speculation.
What's up, Carlo? How's it going, man?
Pretty
Throw your
good.
real name out there again.
Yeah.
Just chilling. I just got done spending $5 on some Robux, which is like a regular occurrence now in our household. So that was fun. But yeah, excited to be here. Excited to be talking with Dredd again. It's been a long time since I've actually been on a panel with Dredd. In fact, the very first podcast I was ever a guest on was with you were there, Clownz, and so was Dredd. I didn't really know you guys yet, but I know you now. Love it. Both of y'all are going to be a guest on Friday with me, so it's going to be fun, man. I'm excited.
We obviously didn't scare you off.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
The JJ Barea of YouTube.
JJ Barea.
Who is JJ Barea?
Hey, he's a I'm a Mavs fan, guys. That's where the name originates. So JJ Barea is like he's awesome. He's like a 4'8", basketball player. Plays for the Mavericks, has for a long time. He was on the championship team 2011. Puerto Rican. He's awesome.
He's a Spitfire, that one.
He's like 5'10" probably or something like that.
He's got
Puerto Rican too.
His shoes.
He's Puerto Rican too. It's Juan Jose Barea.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I mean, anybody who is shorter than the other players and can do well is amazing in basketball. That's why I used to like Larry Bird, because he was shorter than everybody else and got 3-pointers. And then I stopped watching basketball because I don't know.
Larry Bird is short?
Larry Bird was 6'9", man.
Yeah,
was he?
Yeah, he was tall, man.
He was tall for a white guy.
He was no Dirk Nowitzki as far as height wise, but he was he's 6 foot 8, 6'9", with ball handling skills and passing ability. He was kind of like one of those, what he was? He was kind of like Luka Doncic, except he didn't take it to the hole as hard, right?
Yeah. I got that.
You learn something new every time on Four Guys with Quarters. I did not know Larry Bird was 6'9", but now.
Did you just look it up?
No, I'm just taking your word for it.
Okay.
Just taking your guys' word for it. So if that's what you said, I believe you, Midway. Well, there's one topic that is really hot this week. And I did start talking about it before they started pushing it in the Verve and in Forbes about data caps. Like, I predicted that this was going to happen with everybody being home with COVID, because I figure, people aren't going to work as much, aren't going to school. So, your kids are learning at home. They're watching Netflix, Hulu, YouTube more. They're streaming HBO Max, Disney Plus, Xbox Game Pass, PS Now, PlayStation, even Switch. I mean, like, the internet usage has skyrocketed since COVID. It's just, flat out. And none other but the wonderful and glorious Comcast, with their super, super greedy hands, wants to add 12 states and give them data caps because they think that's a great idea for their customers. And you just pay an extra $10 for every 50 gigabyte, up to possibly a max of $100 is what they're talking about. But that could change. And I know some people are probably like, well, I'm an unlimited data plan, so I'm not worried with Comcast. Well, expect that to probably go up in price. I mean, really expect that to go up in price. If they plan on doing this, that is going to go up in price, and that is going to get ridiculous. And if Comcast gets away with this, that means every other ISP out there is going to do the same thing, probably except for Google Fiber, who probably just doesn't have enough households under their umbrella to even care about this, and they're Google and they make money in so many other ways anyway. But yes, I can see Spectrum following suit. All the subsidies of Warner and Charter. Oh man, this is going to be a disaster. If people don't say anything now because they're afraid to speak up and be like, "Oh, if I speak up, then maybe they'll actually give me a data cap." No, they're going to give you a data cap anyway. If you speak up and you talk to your politicians, you write them, you fax them, you email them, whatever you need to do, let them know that you're against this kind of stuff. Maybe they'll fire Ajit Pai from the FCC and put somebody in charge who will regulate all this stuff again and not take this kind of crap, because we the people are going to suffer, my friends. We are going to suffer with this, especially us gamers and all you PlayStation people who don't have enough storage on your PS5s that are going to have to constantly re-download your games. You're going to be paying by the gigabyte for this, okay? I'm telling you right now, this is the truth, and it's going to happen. So, since Dreadpool is on the panel tonight, and he has an analytical sense of mind, and he's technically knowledgeable, and he hasn't been on the show in a while, I want to go to Dreadpool. What is your opinion on this, man?
It's stupid. That's for sure. Mr. Pai is a moron on top of that. He even got himself banned, remember? Or not banned, but demonetized for his video because he was actually playing music that was, I mean, it was just like, he's a moron. He tried to play everybody else as a fool, but unfortunately, everybody up there lets him stay in that position. He needs to be replaced right away. Not very many people can afford what they have right now. You know what I mean? So even with what they were, even just internet only, some of these places are way too expensive, just to get the internet. And how are you supposed to get this opened up for the middle of the U.S.? Okay, that's one of the main ones that people are like, I have no choice because I only have this provider as my only option. You know what I mean? So when you have minimal options like this, and because of what they did when they canceled net neutrality, it's just bogus. You're going to charge all these people, let's say, what is it, about $100 for minimal bandwidth, if that, and then you're going to charge them an extra 100 if they go over. And like you said, you're going to download however many times. If you're a Game Pass person or a PlayStation person, yeah, you're probably going to download the game once. You may not replay it over and over again, but having access to games and having to have to download it, especially right now with the dilemma of downloading your PlayStation 4 games and your PlayStation 5 games, as well as your Series X games and your Series 1 game or your Xbox One games. You know what I'm saying? We're having issues right now when the Activision or whoever else is giving you more stuff to download than you actually should have, to play with. And it's causing game issues and glitches. So what are you doing? You're going back and you're deleting it, re-downloading it, and make sure you got the only right copy that you can. You know what I mean? So you're going to go over that in no time. And what's 50 gigabits if you're not only playing online, you got a household, you got kids that are going to school. We're doing online learning, whatever you want to call it. A lot of places are going back to it now after Thanksgiving. They're going back to it. So it's like you're really hurting the public, and all these corporations are making that money. And that's where Mr. Pai should have, covered our asses, not his. So that's it. I'm just a little touchy about that.
Understandable.
Yeah, definitely understandable. He made that where he was trying to be like Star Wars with the lightsaber and that music in the background, and then he got hit by HBO for Game of Thrones DMCA, and then Disney for Star Wars DMCA. Yeah, that was hysterical, and the dude didn't even care. It probably came out of like the what do you call it? Our taxpayer pocket to pay those claims, and he
We
just
paid for
didn't care. Yeah, dude is just he used to be a Verizon lawyer, and so I can see why he's all for the corporate power. But I really hope that Microsoft, Google, and Amazon get together and lobby hard again and bring back net neutrality and stuff with a newer administration coming in. Maybe a change of power will restore that kind of stuff. Unless they're all paid off by these ISPs, I mean, you never know.
I mean,
So-
well, look at Netflix. Netflix had a heck of a time not being throttled like that. So we'll see.
Yeah, looking at the area affected, it's right now they're doing just like the whole New England area and Ohio. What anybody in the chat in Connecticut, Delaware, Massachusetts, Maryland, Maine, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Vermont, West Virginia, DC, and parts of North Carolina, Ohio, let us know if you are getting any notification on this type of thing going on, and let us know if you have a competing internet service, because I'd like to know if this is just them basically doing whatever they want because there's no one else to compete with them. And they said that 95% of their customers don't even get that close to that amount. I think it was 1.2 terabytes of data. So why even do it? Why
Exactly.
if 95% aren't even getting up there, then why even do it? It's ridiculous to me.
I'm on my phone all the time, and I have unlimited on my phone. And guess what? The last 3 or 4 days, I get throttled back, or at least threatened to be throttled back, even though I have unlimited.
Same here. I have AT&T, and they do that after like 26 gigabytes.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
It's
Yeah.
kind of horse. Yeah, excuse my language, but it's horse shit.
Yeah, no.
I mean, the whole
definitely is.
concept, the whole concept is horse shit because data is not a limited resource in the first place. There's no reason to have any kind of caps or limits on something that's an unlimited thing to begin with, right? There's no reasoning behind it that is besides greed, right? So that's where the main issue is, and the core foundation of this whole concept is just flawed and wrong, and it needs to go to where in the future everything is unlimited with data, and because that's the way everything's going. If they impose more caps, and as everything becomes bigger in size and everything also becomes faster, you see where they're going with this. They want to profit off of the future of how we're accessing everything, right? And that's not okay. We already have a structure that's been in place with unlimited plans for a long time now that works. These companies are highly profitable. They're not struggling in any kind of way. So what is the reasoning behind it? There is none that they can justify. And so this is where politics have to get involved, right? And contain this from happening because it's not okay. Imagine like you're a heavy game user, right? You get a new game console and you have like Game Pass or whatever, and you want to download like 10 games or something, right? That's half of your cap automatically. If you download Call of Duty and Warzone, that's a quarter almost of your cap, right? It's just it's insane with how cable's going away, so everything's going to streaming, right? So yeah, it's the worst thing out there right now as far as corporate greed goes with and it's an attack on the future of freedom for us to be able to enjoy the entertainment we want without having to pay a tax just because we like to watch more. or play more.
How about those movie buffs?
Yeah, streaming. Oh my god, like they're saying that because everyone's going back home for school and all that stuff, that they're having increased strain on their infrastructure. That is not our problem. You're making us pay for something that is your problem. That's ridiculous. And I feel sorry for the New Englanders. I mean, invest in a good external hard drive with some space, because I recommend start moving your games back and forth. Don't delete and re-download.
Yeah, I mean, and also, just a heads up real quick, if you hear any background noise, that is my mother-in-law doing something over there. I could always turn the camera on over there if you guys want to see. But the chat should not hear it because I got the RTX voice thing. Should be blocking it. But you guys on the panel may hear it because I don't know if it's blocking it.
Yeah, I don't hear anything.
Okay.
Hi, Mom.
Okay, I'll let her know everyone says hi.
Tell her to vacuum away.
Mom.
All right, I will. So I'll pass
Put the camera on her.
along.
Just kidding.
I mean, if you guys want to put the camera on, I could.
That's fine. Let's keep her off the grid.
Are you sure? Because we're streaming live in Russia too. We still have one viewer in Russia, whoever that is that watches us. I don't know, but they're watching us. Yeah, but I think with the fact that also we have 4K now, right? I mean, you're streaming in 4K. You're playing games that are like 4K, so the size is a lot bigger. And if you got like Game Pass Ultimate, you know, you're streaming those games. That's a lot of data because everything's just being streamed. Nothing's like downloaded on your phone for that. And PS Now, sorry for you PlayStation people, man, but a lot of the stuff in PS Now you can't download. I mean, it's only select stuff. You're streaming a lot of that stuff. And I bet you a lot of PS customers are going to be in those states mentioned that are affected. And I feel bad for you. I mean, you guys got to speak up now, because if you don't speak up now and it happens, it can become the norm. And once it becomes the norm, they're not going to stop there. This is corporate greed. What they're then going to do is what everybody predicted before they ended net neutrality. The next thing that they're going to do is piecemeal everything on their plans, right? So then they're going to come up with a gamer plan with like so many terabytes, and then like a school family plan with so many terabytes, and then maybe like a Netflix plan, and you're going to add everything on piece by piece. Otherwise the ports could be blocked, or you're going to pay overage fees for different usages on different services that they could tell on their back end. I mean, this is why this is really important. This is like a really big subject for me. It's something I've been talking about for a long time. So hope you guys take this seriously, everybody who listens. And I know there's a lot of people in India listening as well on the feeds after. You can even email and get on Twitter and talk to our politicians. You know, just the heck, let them know. Everybody's angry about this. This is not right. And I've tweeted at them and I got no response. They're probably busy freeing turkeys or something. I don't know, because Thanksgiving. But you know, this I don't know. This is important to me. And you know, speaking of that, it kind of does take us into another topic here, right? So I'm gonna go right into the topic of, you know, Jim Ryan doesn't think PlayStation fans care about the storage. It's not like a big deal to him. You know, the guy obviously doesn't game, so storage is not a big deal. Data caps aren't a big deal. You know, maybe he'll fix it in a future firmware update for sure. But like, what about right now? What about the people that are spending the money to get PS5s or buying them from Scalpers, and then they're like, "Oh crap! I didn't know I couldn't use external for PS5 games. Oh, why did I pay that scalper, you know, $1,500 for the all digital console?" And Jim Ryan just like, you know, I don't care. No big deal. We'll add it sometime in the future. It's no big deal. You know, that's the way I feel. Thanks, Xbot. I don't think I'm a big deal. You're a big deal, brother. Appreciate
You're
that.
breathtaking.
Yeah, you're breathtaking. 448. I'm just 449. Dreadpool, what do you think about this, man? What do you think about these storage? His opinion on storage. You know that it's not a big deal.
He's scoffing it off. He doesn't want to talk about it, so he's playing it down. That's all it is. They know that they have issues. They know that everybody wants the internal drive to work. They want the external plug-in for the USBs to work. And right now they can't get it working for whatever reason. It's just simple. I say simple, but I believe it's just a simple software issue. You know what I mean? They probably have it deactivated because they're trying to figure something out. I have no idea what, but I'm just guessing here, pulling at straws. Anything could be the reason. We don't know, but it's obviously they've deactivated it for something. You know, we know that the newer hard drives are not out yet, but we know that the Samsung drive is out, so they could always use that. That's a Gen 4. If they don't think that that's fast enough, that could be why they're keeping that off. But I mean, why not allow people to have their USBs plugged in and transfer their games back and forth? You know, having that deactivated is kind of a head scratcher.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you guys here. I really don't think the PS5 was ready for an official launch. I think there was too many hiccups along the way. I think they were just trying to answer fast to Xbox's release. I think they weren't ready because they had sticker issues getting stuck in fans. They have overheating with their memory chips not cooling down in some of the units. There's piles, according to a source at Best Buy, that are just returns, and then some units are saved for exchanges. So I think that they just weren't really prepared, and their Jim's just like, we better get this out there now. Do it now. And all these scalpers selling them 1,500. All these problems. They're gonna go home, casual parents to their casual kids who have no clue what's going on. I just feel bad for everybody. Mav, what do you think about this, man?
I think that. First off, I forgot what we were talking about.
Oh, that's all right. We're talking about Dancing Jim Ryan, Lion Ryan on the. He doesn't think the PS storage is a big deal.
Oh yeah, no, okay, yeah, that's right, Lion Ryan. Okay, yeah, the storage definitely is an issue, especially if you actually add the Comcast whole thing into it. Just think about if you're now for a lot of people, like I think the majority of people, it's not an issue, right? But if you really think about guys like us that play a lot of games, right? I had to go get the external storage for my Series X because I was sick of moving things around, right? So I got I went ahead and bit the bullet, paid the crazy price, plugged it into my Xbox, and I freaking love that thing now, right? So the PS5 has even less storage than the Series X does, right? To begin with. If you put Call of Duty, Black Ops, Cold War, and Warzone on there with all the HD texture packs and stuff on my Xbox, it takes up 240 freaking gigabytes. Okay, that's almost half of the available storage on a PS5. It's like a third, right? Roughly, or a little more than a third. That's crazy. So it is an issue if you play lots of games. You don't want to have to delete and download games as a shuffling device for storage, right? It just doesn't make sense. He knows it's an issue. He's just pretending like it's not an issue because they don't have an answer for it right now, right? So when they have an answer for it, he'll say, "Oh, we heard you. We've been working on this, and here's the answer," right? And then he'll be like, "Okay," everybody's like, "Oh, cool. See, we knew they got our back. Yeah, everything's good." But until then, yeah, it sucks for heavy game players. We'll see. Luckily on the PlayStation, a lot of the games that are exclusives are single player focused games, and once they beat those, you can delete those and maybe not worry about going back to them, right? On Xbox, where we have a lot more multiplayer focused games, you kind of tend to want to keep those on your hard drive because you kind of tend to jump back and forth between those more, right? So that's maybe a positive there. It just seems to me like maybe he is expecting what a lot of the PlayStation fans have been doing and that's just accepting, right? So he's like, okay, they accept it, so we're all good, right? Until people actually raise levels of concern and say things, then he's not going to hear it from his hardcore fan base, and that's who he's talking about. They're acting like it's not a problem. I don't know why, because I know if this was Xbox, which is the console I own right now because Target canceled my PS5. If this was Xbox and I only had 600 something gigabytes of storage and I had no way really of storing my optimized games on there, the next gen games, it would be a huge problem for me. And I would be telling people, right? So yeah, Jim, it's a problem. I'm saying it's a problem. Hopefully you have ears and you can hear everybody else saying it's a problem that realizes it's a problem. And if you don't realize it's a problem, think about it. It's a problem. That's all I got to say.
Maybe he's got hard of hearing as long as the nose keeps growing.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there. Sorry.
Maybe he doesn't speak English.
VJ, I haven't really heard from you yet. Probably because I didn't. Yeah, probably because I didn't call on you, but you could always feel free to chime in. And this is the perfect topic for you to combine the data caps and the PS5 storage. I mean, what do you think?
Which one do you want me to answer first?
Combine them together first with data caps, and you get 15,000 gold stars.
Okay, well, I'll rather take 15,000 words if that's possible. So, for the data caps and stuff, I don't know what to say other than we live in a society of our own making to some degree. I think most, if not all, corporations by nature are predators, right? You could even call them scalpers, right? I'm sure that designation pretty much fits them. But the difference is that they're a lot more smarter and organized. They kind of inject themselves into your lives and minds, right? They follow like a very methodical system to render sort of our choices, and more so what I'm hearing from everybody saying is our opinions, right? Sort of muffle them somewhat, unless they render our opinions useless, I guess, if not by simply sort of sedating us and rendering us sort of kind of imbecilic, right? That's why we're kind of like screaming at each other on this podcast. So I know I'm like quite cynical of corporations, but not to the point I'm sort of condemning pharmaceuticals or governments. Well, I am, but more appropriately, medicine, I guess, because of just some individual, whether it's a doctor or a politician or a businessman. However, we all want to dress things up in our own mind's eye. Well, a lot of us do, maybe not on this panel per se, but so everything is like kind of palatable, as we don't want to go over a certain threshold that leads to frustration, anger, and despair. Nobody really wants to go there, right? So let's be honest and frank, the vast majority of humanity, barely exercise, let alone puts its cognitive capabilities to good use. And the way we think and fit into the thing called society has been sort of designed to systematically modify us over decades, if not sort of centuries. As soon as you go to school, you're faced with sort of state influence propaganda, right? If you really think about it, it's a pretty sobering thought. We really have like nowhere near as much power as we thought we do, or the people that we put in charge, right, to help us, lead our country forward, or our countries forward. Does anything about what we, as sort of a specific species, have allowed to happen around us, given how much we, just pay in taxes, and make any sense in terms of the new sort of nuclear family, from the 40s to local communities, even the world for that matter, that we live in, make any sense whatsoever? The more and more I see things, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm not the smartest guy in the room by any stretch of the imagination. So there is something drastically wrong, and I think a paradigm shift must surely be coming. But will we allow it to happen? And no government is going to be a new hope that's going to be our answer or savior. Governments are powerless, as they work in, if you look at how they're structured, they work in silos, right, within a specific, sort of piece of land, almost in, but corporations, if you look at them, they're sort of spread far across land and sea, right, everywhere. And a really smart guy once I admired said, I don't know if he's still alive or not, perhaps an unrelenting storm is coming. We need to invest and redouble our efforts to understand who we humans are. Maybe with the rise of AI and machines, it may provide us time to actually beneficial to us, or provide us time to discover like who we are and look at the human heart before you ask the question, to me about my sort of perspective on this. You can probably assume, right, or understand that I'm kind of more often than not, especially on the podcast, that I'm more sort of a despairing pessimist. An interesting. Sometimes I think you just asked me the question, something along the lines of, would North Korean people be more productive if the government actually fed its people? But anyway, I'm probably digressing now. What was the other question?
Yeah, getting back to it, it was about the data caps, number one.
Oh, sorry, different.
And, and then the PlayStation storage, Jim Ryan saying it's like not a big deal that it's small.
I think it's an issue that can be remedied. Can't be remedied now. It's otherwise Xbox would have placed a 1 terabyte drive in the Series S, right? SSD tech is, from what I understood from speaking to some people, is really still really expensive. Both hardware providers, I think, have done a pretty good job, if not an outstanding job, right, in terms of the tech. What is it, $500 a piece? The hardware systems. Yeah. I paid a bit more because I had to buy a bundle from Costco, which wasn't the best thing for me. But anyway, it is what it is. So I think they're both losing money right now, and Sony, unlike Microsoft to a degree, have to hit financial milestones, forecasts, and projections. And obviously, Jim Ryan's never going to come out and say that, right? And I think Mav sort of alluded to that, right? Look, tell us, how are you going to remedy this? So I think we as gamers, for me anyway, right? I don't think there is an easy workaround just using sort of normal hard disks. I don't know, as I'm not technical enough, but until such time SSD tech becomes more affordable, or whether it's in a 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte form of expansion cards. I was speaking to Mr. Tucci today. He paid somewhere, what was it, £220, right? And he paid almost $60 of that is government tax, right?
Wait, what?
So, yep, 20% VAT in England.
For the ISP?
No, for the SSD 1 terabyte card for the Xbox. Right.
Oh, okay. So, I got you.
Yeah, they're expensive. They're not cheap.
Yeah, in Europe especially, and it's actually cheaper there, but it's just the government tax. It just makes it ridiculously expensive. And now I'm not even including the import duty taxation, right, that they charge in Europe. It's insane. So, but yeah, I'm assuming that it's about $220 here. Is that right for a 1 terabyte card?
I think so, right? Is that the price?
It's in the US, it's $219.99 for a 1 terabyte storage expansion card on Xbox. On PlayStation, the thing is, they have ones that should work available to purchase for around the same price or even a little less, but they have the storage bay disabled on the PS5.
Yeah, I guess we just have to wait, right, until they're ready to. Because maybe it'll make this machine sing and dance in a completely different way. Maybe it'll go down quicker than a one-legged man doing the hokey cokey. I have no idea the technical reason, but the point is that I think it was a smart move by Xbox not actually licensing out, because they're obviously making 7-8% off of retail price point from Seagate, and Seagate are taking all the heat, right, for charging such a high price, right? So I think Microsoft kind of made a smart move there,
Can I interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, but the thing is, Seagate's price is comparable. I paid before the pandemic happened, and all the pricing, with the solid state chips and the silicone started pricing up, because remember when memory cards or your memory for your PC was expensive and it started dropping. Well, all of a sudden it started going back up again right before everything happened, right? I paid less than $200 for my 1 terabyte NVMe, right? Mm-hmm. It's the 970 Samsung and I bought an adapter for it to convert it to USB, less than $200. Okay.
What's the point you're making?
My point is the pricing is not, it's comparable. That's where it's at now. Because if you were to buy that now and hook it up as USB, it's about the same price.
I get your point, Dreadpool, but imagine if Microsoft was selling this item, right?
No, I know.
You're a technical guy, right? You understand. You buy this stuff, right? But for console gamers that have got to go out and buy a 1 terabyte, if it was from Microsoft, I can tell you that the mass audience would be looking at, why is Xbox charging me this price? They would almost automatically assume it should be 1. Remember, everyone thought it was going to be 1.
I'm agreeing with you there. I'm agreeing with you there.
To subsidize that cost to a degree, not because it made sense from Microsoft's perspective that they can lose money, but they didn't want to lose money, and it would have been a bad PR move, and that's why they chose to license it out and let somebody else carry the cam for it.
No, I agree with you. That's the thing, is I agree with you. It's the fact that, I'm sorry?
Smart move, definitely.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is everybody's comparing it to the price, and they're not even looking at the comparison. They're looking at the price of the chip itself. Because I was critical about it at first, just the fact that it was something that you can just plug in, and I was like, that's so silly. We just why did they have to make something proprietary like that, right? So, and I know I'm kind of shifting over the topic, but
no, absolutely.
Why did they make it proprietary? Why not just have an NVMe card? You just slap it in there, screw it down, and have be done with it. Because people are idiots.
Sounds like a page from Apple,
right? So if you can just plug it in, there's only one way to plug it in, and it plugs in, one and done. You don't have to worry about anybody opening up your console. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Your console stays closed, and like you said, if there's a fault, it could be the fault of the manufacturing, and it's yet again not on Microsoft or Xbox. It's on the chip, right, or the card. Now, when you look at the PlayStation, right, you have to remove the cover, which is not a big deal. Okay, a lot of people are too hesitant to plug something in when they don't know what it's going to do. So now imagine that with somebody that has that kind of competency to open it up and then try to fit that in there and then lock it down with a screw. That's where Microsoft, like I said, I was giving them crap at first, but then I sat back and thought about it. And I was like, you know what? This makes sense, because you want it for anybody to just go there. If they need a card, they can pull the card out, and little Billy or Sandy that's, they're 9-10 years old, they don't have to risk anything. They can just pull it in and out while it's plugged in. You know what I mean? The PlayStation 5, you got to unplug it. You have to know to make sure it's unplugged. Some people will, and I've seen videos, they'll leave stuff plugged in and they'll try to jam a card in there and expect everything to work and not get fried.
I'm totally in agreement with you. I think the card method is known, historical. It's embedded within gamers' sort of how can I say, in their armory. It's a known go-to. So I don't have any issue with it whatsoever. I think it's a really smart idea.
It's very simplistic, and yet again, they did say Samsung is the first vendor because they helped them design it. They're gonna have it open to other vendors later on in the future, and that from there you can put bigger sizes. Okay, but when you look at it monetarily, yet again, I'm going to go back to where we were. Monetarily, it's roughly the same price, and the price, it's $200. It's expensive, but that's what the going price is right now with those cards. Compared to an NVMe that you would buy and build.
Yeah, look, I don't. All I know is that the cost of the SSD is really expensive, right? Even if you're buying in the tens of millions of blocks, there is not much discount right now. I don't know why. I'm not technical enough, and I don't know when the pricing will come down. And I think it's something that gamers and are going to have to ride it out, right? And I think platform holders have got no real, no real say in the matter right now. If those two between them can't buy the volumes based on how many hardware systems they're going to ship and get that price down, then I think I don't see it easing up any time in the near future.
I think the main thing is also just why didn't PlayStation launch with a solution? That's the problem. It's not really the cost. Cost is going to be an ongoing issue for a long time with this stuff.
You can say that about anything, right? I mean, you can say that about anything that's newly launched, right? Look at some of the games that are broken or not
They
saving.
probably wanted to see what the chips would do.
Yeah.
It's a
I don't know. It just I would hate to have a machine and not be able to store all the games I want to on it.
You know what?
The
What
pr-
you said
it's
is really
it's-
interesting. Sorry, go on.
it's the price of the silicone that they're putting it on there for the memory. All right, and that's what it is, plain and simple. The prices have gone up. Memory. I mean, if you look at a SATA 3, right, the old version, which was like your laptop hard drive, but it was an SSD. Okay, that's a SATA 3 SSD. Now that thing, if you wanted a 2 terabyte, that's like $400. And you're talking about how old is that technology, right? That's how that technology is so old that they want that much money for it. When yet same price, you can get the newer, faster, better NVMe for that size for the same price. See what I'm saying? It's just the fact that right now obtaining that material is what's costly. That's what's keeping it up there. Is because a lot of people started stacking everything up when the pandemic started happening. Everybody was stocking all that stuff up, raising prices. So now we're at limited supply. They don't have enough to make everything, and that's part of the thing. It's new, right? It's they're also doing something new with it within it. So it's not like a standard NVMe that you would buy, like I said, like the 970 or the 980, right? The 980 is the Gen 4. It's not even new like that. It's got other technology where you're using the velocity architecture, right? So now you're using advantages that the 980 cannot do. It does not have access to. Okay, so there's more to it, but people are just looking at straight up the price itself and going, $200, that's way too much. Well, that's the going rate. Even if you were to build a PC and you got that NVMe, it's the going rate for that.
Yeah.
You know, and there will be slight ups and downs between the two, depending on where you shop, when the holiday is, what kind of sale that they're looking for. If they're looking to push something out because they got new inventory coming in, you know, so there's always that fluctuation that's going to be there. Because when I built my NVMe for my Xbox One X, you know, over almost 2 years ago, I spent about that same amount of money.
Now, Dreadpool, how big is your NVMe?
1 terabyte.
You made it into like a USB stick?
Yes.
So did you buy a kit for that, or did you?
I bought the NVMe, and then I bought the adapter, and I just placed the NVMe inside the board that does the conversion to USB. Screwed it down, slid the cover back on. So that's why when people are like, "Oh my God, it's so hot! It's so hot!" I'm like, "No, it's not that hot," because I'll have mine running, and mine's exposed, fully exposed, and there's no fins on it. It just has the sticker per se. It's basically the heat transfer to allow it to go to the aluminum, so that way it can transfer more heat away from those chips.
So here's just a thought, right? The Xbox and them have said Xbox Velocity architecture is coming. That technology is coming to PCs, right? I think they've mentioned that before.
Yes.
What about future PCs having the slot the same as like the expansion cards that go in the Xbox?
I don't see that.
That would be amazing for me. That card, after I got it, you know, you just plug it in, bam, instantly. It's so fast, easy to use. I'm not a tech guy, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So something like that is made for people like me. And then this transferring from external to internal, you know, with that card, you know, it's just like it's blazing. I put a little thing on Twitter last night where I did transferred a 30 gigabyte game, 27 gigabyte game, and it took less than 30 seconds.
I did all of Gears in under 4 minutes.
Yeah, it's, you know what I mean? Crazy.
So, and that's to the external, not the internal.
Yeah,
my external NVMe, not the plug-in card, the external expansion card.
Right.
Okay, so I'm just almost as fast. Right,
that's
because
crazy.
There are limitations to that.
That's without velocity architecture, right?
No velocity architecture,
right?
And that's the thing. The velocity architecture will be implemented between your graphics cards, your motherboards, and then after that, you don't have to worry about it. So it'll just be plug and play, but not in that sense like the card is. So you are going to see it. You're just not going to see it in the way that you think you will see it.
So when will we see PlayStation's solution? That should be what we're asking.
Unfortunately, it will probably be in the next 3 to 4 years when they make a
until they get all the until they get all the chips and yields together. Like,
well, I mean, for storage,
console stop bricking.
Oh, the storage solution?
Yeah, I know the other thing's an issue with memory overheating and stuff like that. But like, I'm just talking about storage.
I see it next year. They'll just have more hands on because they did say that they were monitoring the temperatures and the speeds and what's going on, so that way they can adjust on the fly.
Right.
Which means basically when you put a game out, you see what's killing it, and then you just go back in there and make your micro adjustments.
You make the fan run a little faster, and you maybe lower the clock speed potentially. Yeah. So that's I actually had a DM going with some guys. I was thinking that they're probably going to be doing that because the memory issue is a real issue. I think with that video that came out was pretty much irrefutable that it could be an issue. Yes.
Yeah.
So there's going to have to be tinkering like with the firmware, and if they don't, so it'll
be firmware and the game software. So it'll be a combination of both. So I don't see it one size fits all. I see them tinkering with it on the firmware side to a point, so that way they can still maintain optimal speed and optimal basically operation of the system itself. And then the games will also have to figure out where they're utilizing too much power and kind of offset a little bit. So you're not going to see anything dramatic and be like, oh my God, we're down to 1440p. What's going on? It's nothing like that. So everybody thinks when you say something like that you're downplaying them. No, they're just it's just a little too premature.
It's optimization, right?
Yeah, it's just optimization. I mean, from my understanding, I've heard that the system was already out there and they ended up redesigning it. Okay, we all heard that, right? But I heard it was based on the old chipset, and that's why they're kind of like behind the ball here. That's why their software for their SDKs are so far advanced compared to the Series X.
Okay. And is that why we wouldn't have a storage solution right now as well on the PS5?
Probably.
Or is that unrelated?
It could be related. We don't know. The thing is, the storage solution right now, why it's off is because they want to make sure it hits the speed. So it could be the fact that the hardware portion is not ready from the outside source to put in there. So why don't they push out their SSD as an external and allow you to purchase it through Sony and put it in there? You know what I'm saying? There's so many things that don't make sense, and all we can do is put pieces together and try to figure out this puzzle. Like everybody's like, the tap dancing Jim Ryan part, right? Because he's always saying something, and then after he gets called out on it, after a couple months or a day, whatever it is, eventually they backtrack and tell you, oh, by the way, Spider-Man Miles Morales is a PS4 game.
Yeah, like smiling big and lying through your teeth can get you pretty far in business world.
Yes. So with that being said, what are they waiting for? Are they just trying to make sure that their system? Look at it this way. If you're trying to put out a system, do you want somebody to hook up an NVMe into your console, right? This is your console. Someone's going to put an NVMe in there and it's going to make it run like crap. Do you want that? No. So I don't blame them on that. I have an issue with why can't we just have the USB portion working without killing the system?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Transfer your games off of it and store the game off to the side and then bring it back over. And yes, on the spinner drives, it is going to take some time to move it back and forth. That's, it is what it is. We've always dealt with it. It's just now where we're storing it to and bringing it from, one side's faster, which means it'll speed up that transfer rate. Okay, so it's not slow and slow; it's fast and slow. So
And
you're going to speed up a little bit, but you're not going to get USB to, NVMe to NVMe speeds.
I understand like what you're saying and what VJ was saying. Like this is it's understandable, right? Like all these things, because of tech and stuff like that. But when you have your competition out there that had the solution and everything was planned and is working, and even if it's expensive, it's there, and it's really accessible and handy as far as ease of use and all of that goes. That's where it's like, okay, well, if they can do it, why can't you do it?
Because they took two different approaches.
Yeah.
So, if you're a lefty versus a righty, that where that ball is in front of you when you're going to go kick it to the goal post, and wherever that goalie's standing will determine your stance. Right? So that's part of it. You have to figure out how you're going to score. And if you're a lefty, it's a little different. I mean, granted, it's the same thing. The ends of the means to the end is still making that point, right? You're going to get that ball into the goal. So that's not the issue. The issue is where you're standing. So if you're standing like a righty and you're a lefty, that's going to throw it off. I'm just trying to figure out different ways to put it out there. But yeah, I mean, it is an issue, but yet again, do you want to look bad because of somebody else's product? And unfortunately, they're looking bad because of their own product. But I don't think this is as big of an issue as people are making it out to be. There are some that are making it out to be bigger, and then there are some that are like, nothing to see here. Everything's all fine. It's a little bit of both.
Well, it's highlighted because of the lower shipping and the less amount of consoles that are in the wild right now. The supply is not meeting the demand, so that means everything's going to get a little hyped up because the people that have the supply, it's getting a negative effect right now, and it's just being times 10 right now.
Unfortunately, and that's the other thing, is because if we're going to go with launches, how come we didn't have enough Xboxes out there? How come we didn't have enough PlayStations out there? You know what I mean? If you're going to go worldwide at the same time, mostly, then you're limiting which country is going to have the supply. If you're only going to go with two countries, now you're focusing on those two countries. But at the same time, when you do a shadow launch, who's going to be able to buy it? Those that were around to know. There's just so many variables, and we don't know what their actual numbers are, and we will never know what those actual numbers are.
Right, you can have 100 in Belgium, and they can say they've been in Belgium, right, Flamish?
Yeah,
Where's
they can have one.
He probably
they can have one.
He's passed out. He's playing Shadowlands.
But that's the thing. They could have one and say, okay, well, we sold one in Belgium, but we sold 100%. We're sold out.
Right.
So
that was kind of what Xbox did with Japan in 2013, right?
Yeah.
They had like
10 of them.
1,000 consoles. Hey, we sold out day one. Hey, everybody, celebrate. We kind of hijacked this from VJ.
Sorry.
Curious what.
Sorry,
if you had anything left to say.
No worries, because I'm not very technical at all. So it's interesting listening to Dreadpool. I always pick up bits and pieces, but sometimes when it starts talking about NVMEs and 3080s, I just like, it's like leaves me behind.
Sorry. Well, the SSD.
Yeah.
I try not to Mark Cerny everybody sometimes, but I sometimes do. But yeah, no, the SSD is just a different speeds that they can handle, and if they're going to hold off on the SSD not being as fast because the technology is not there in their eyes, why would you allow it to happen? So speaking of Sony.
Clownz,
yeah, I'm still here. Midway, did you have anything you want to add?
Oh, no. When it comes to the tech stuff, Dreadpool's he's a man amongst boys, so. But what was but your second question, VJ still hasn't answered yet.
Which one was that one?
That was the storage size on the PS5. Ryan said, it's not a big deal, VJ. We only got so much on there. We'll, eventually we'll add more. If you got the all digital console, don't worry.
I think I pretty much made my point right now. SSDs are expensive. Otherwise, there would have been a terabyte drive in the Series S, and there isn't. And I think that they've done the best that they can. And if you're a gamer, I don't know who mentioned. I don't know if it was Mav. Sorry, Mav. No, it was Mav who said, "Look, I've got more games than I can store on my SSD than it is an issue." Look, on my Xbox Series X, I've got like 47 games downloaded, and now with I'm waiting for Cyberpunk, and I have no idea how big that game is, but I'm gonna have to delete or remove something, right? And then obviously it dovetails back into your data cap question. I think at the end of the day, it is what it is. And for $500, either machine, if you've got it, I think you've got a really good deal. At some point, you're going to have to fork out for a memory card on Xbox Series X. I'm hoping to do so at some point. And if you've got a PlayStation, then you're just going to have to wait on Sony until they provide you a solution. I think it's really as simple as that. And until then, and I think as Dreadpool said, look, it's not the biggest issue in the world. It would be nice to have a solution at launch. It would have been nicer to have a 2 terabyte drive. But at the end of the day, both hardware companies are prepared to take a certain amount of loss. Whether Jim's lying or not, it's irrelevant to me. You just got to look at the facts of the situation and how can we make the best out of a bad situation. And I think that's already really what you can do. And just enjoy playing the games that you can.
Yeah, and to add to that, what if we did get 2 terabytes? Wouldn't somebody want 4?
Yeah, they probably in the chat or on the podcast.
Oh, I could fill up 4 easy right now.
I think all of us hardcore gamers could fill up like all this stuff in a matter of seconds. There's so many games. I mean, just the Halo Master Chief Collection in general, that's a pretty big game. Then there's
the new the new Cold War is like 200 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 240 on my hard drive between Cold War and Warzone.
I've got a question. I've got a question for Dreadpool, actually, because I've made the claim, right? So let's just see what Dreadpool's got to say. Because I'd like to be educated and humbled in front of facts. Dreadpool, for the hardware that you're getting, as long as you're not paying scalper prices and you're paying like normal RRP, I think the tech and the upgrades and especially the quality of life features that I'm experiencing, I think it's pretty good value for money. So what's your take on that?
No, you're actually getting a really good value for money. You're getting a good deal. You're getting there's a lot going on, and they've yet to even finish milking the power out of the console. So right now we're still in the infancy, just like every generation, right? And people are still forgetting about this part. Just like every generation, the beginning of the generation, there are certain games that will just look beautiful right from the get-go. They just look immaculate. Usually those are racers, and then 1 or 2 that will figure out with their software that it's compatible for whatever reason and it looks great, right? So thinking back to Xbox One launch, which was what? Rise. Was it Dead Rising 3? I mean, those games looked immaculate back then, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at it like that, yeah, but what about the other games? The other games didn't look so good. The other games didn't look so hot. You had Killer Instinct.
I thought you were going to make Motor Tune GP.
Nah, well, yeah, you could throw that one in there too. But there's quite a few games that just didn't utilize the power. And then you go towards the end of it, and you got a lot of games that are looking good. It's just how much the developer can do, the tools that they have, and how much time they have to learn. So once they learn, okay, well, we can do this, and we still have all this extra power. What else are we looking at doing? Oh my God, Local Cycle sucked. Sorry, I just read Invader Gaming's LOL there. But anyway, my
point, Dreadpool, was just so that people know, and I know, because obviously I know how much money my nephew spends on a PC, right? But in terms of what you get in terms of the tech for the value proposition, I think it's a pretty good deal, right? Regardless of some of the inefficiencies.
Yes.
or some
Yeah.
of the features not being available at launch.
You're getting a great deal considering what you're getting, because if you compare it to last gens, okay, if you're comparing it to PC, you're still getting a great deal, okay. But if you're comparing it to the older generations in the price compared to performance, right? This is the first time that both consoles are backwards compatible right from the get-go. Okay, we could say that before with PlayStation 2, but guess what? The Genesis also did it with the Master System. All right, so backwards compatibility is not really a new thing. It's just the big thing is now that you can take your games with you. All right, so now you don't have to worry about, do I trade in all my games and not have the games that I'd never finished playing? But you're getting the benefit of that where they're actually able to give you more performance out of those said games. Right. So now it's not just the game as is, it's the game as is with the benefit of 60 frames per second, or wherever it had some hiccups, no longer those hiccups are there. Right. So you're getting a lot more performance per price. Okay. When you go to PC, that could be anywhere, because you could pay $1,500 or $500. You know, you go to Best Buy or back in the day, Circuit City or any of the other places, Comp USA that used to be open, $500 got you a decent PC. You could still play games. You know, if you go back even further, you would go to, what was that other place I used to go to? Anyway, that being said, you could go someplace else and buy a $200 graphics card. And, you know, back then it was like a voodoo graphics card. $200 was expensive for a graphics card, you know, and then they started going up to $300. Okay. And you were still playing those older games. You look at where we're at now with the graphics we have, with the quality that we have. You got ray tracing now. There's a big thing right now. I'm looking at games where some of the ray tracing seems to be like overboard. Like, I don't see this much ray tracing in real life. You see what I'm saying? They've gone overboard with a lot of these games, but the technology is there. There's a lot more value in the technology that you're paying for straight up with this generation of these consoles, both of them. So
it's like they wash the window every day.
Yeah.
That and then some. That and then some.
Spilled baby oil everywhere.
Exactly. It's like everybody took the Vaseline out of their eyes and smeared it everywhere else on the surfaces. Concrete even has a glare shine off of it. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, this is way too much. But, you know, this is, yet again, still in its infancy. They're still learning techniques, and the hardware is pushing it. And, you know, and it's immaculate that this hardware is not dying because of it. You know what I mean? So you're getting your value right there, more than, and then some.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I hope that answers your question, VJ. Dreadful
Probably not.
I wanted a yes.
He's the VJ Barry White.
Tea and crumpets, English tea, English breakfast tea.
Okay, go on, carry on, Clownz. Please carry on your 18 show.
Carry on.
Here's a topic that I think all of us could relate to in some way or another, or feel a little bit agitated over. I mean, PS5 scalpers have amassed a large amount of consoles. Basically showing that I think that we've all become relying on internet shopping, and it's so hard to get consoles because of scalpers and people using different types of shopping bots. I won't name one on the podcast, but if you DM me, I'll tell you one that people have been using for sneakers in general, and they can use it for anything else as well. But it's just ridiculous. I from the article, it says that let's go back here. I'm gonna pull this up.
Was that Rick Astley?
It was Rick Astley. It wasn't me though.
Man, VJ's got some style over there, huh? That's what I'm thinking. But
You should have done that at the end of your topic. As soon as you were done talking, VJ should have popped that on there. And then... Sorry, Clown, sorry.
Man, we should
No,
be playing Name That Tune right now.
Hey, I think it
It's not-
brought some people into the chat, VJ. I think it
No,
brought
no.
like 2 viewers in.
That's that copyright strike is coming right now for that 2 seconds.
No, it's actually related to the show. It's not actually Rick Astley. It's just the younger Jim Ryan. Okay.
I have a theory, Clownz or Carlo, whichever one you want to be called now. Now you confuse me. About that whole why these scalpers have all these PS5s.
Because they can
because
sell them for profit?
No, because they needed more storage.
Oh, there you go. They amassed nearly
Where's the
20
hat? Brum, bum, psst.
They amassed nearly 2,500 PS5s when the console went on sale in the UK last week. On top of just under 1,000 PS5s were pre-ordered back in September. Sony won't announce how many PS5s it made available to buy at launch in the UK. One group alone was able to obtain nearly 3,500 consoles, so it sounds like there's more than a few scalping groups. The fact that they organized and call themselves scalping groups really concerns me. It's like,
That's ridiculous.
It's almost like organized crime can't make money anymore, so they just scalp stuff. That's what it sounds like, to be honest.
It sounds like organized crime's going to go there and take their consoles from them. Just saying. That or SWAT.
Yeah.
So, reading further into this, it says the report goes into detail on how this group had advanced warning on where consoles would be placed on sale, and they use bots to beat the customers to the punch. It allows for automatic checking out at countless retailers, make purchases quicker than any human could. Now, let alone, here's the best part about this, right? You want in on this? The group charges a subscription fee starting at lira or pound $29.99, going up to $399.99, so its members can join in the scalping fund and make a profit for themselves.
Is this a question?
Oh no, it's part of the article, BJ.
Oh,
It's
I'm sorry.
So it's like basically a ring where you could pay subscription in order to invest in it and get profit back.
No, you pay. Like I guess what the article's saying is, like, let's say that you're, for example, in the UK, right? And you know this scalping group operation, they're going to get all the consoles on launch. So you go to them, you say, hey, I want to get a console for myself as well. And they'll say, well, here's a software, a modified version of the software that we use. We'll give you a subscription to it for a year. Depending on how quick you want it to check out, I guess maybe you just pay $29.99 for basic interaction, all the way up to $400 for like super fast inhuman action, maybe.
Wow, that's crazy. So there's this selling subscriptions to bots, basically, for people to buy consoles.
Yeah. Yep. Man, imagine if Daz does this over in the UK. He'd be living the lifestyle right now, driving a Maserati or something.
Well, this is compounded by the fact that this year all the sales are pretty much digital, right? There's very little in-store retail because of COVID and coronavirus. So, if this was mostly in-store retail, I think it would be less of a problem.
You'd have to worry about those little babies, though.
Yeah.
That's you know what? I got robbed by a baby. And these people are getting robbed by subscription bots. And people are subscriptions.
Little do you know,
I'll say this: babies move slower than a bot. So I think you got a better chance.
I was gonna say, little do you know, he got that baby from a baby subscription service.
Imagine, I wouldn't put it past people in Florida to do something like that, to be honest with you. It's Florida. Who knows what they pay for out here for a subscription service.
A baby and an alligator. That's what they pay for it.
I mean, well, in a sense, you're right. Here in Florida, you pay to enter theme parks to pet alligators, so.
Well, apparently that baby paid for itself.
It did, didn't it? I can just imagine the parents when they get older. Oh, yeah, you know how we paid for your college fund? We gypped Clownz out of a console. He was tweeting about it on Twitter. We knew who he was. Ha 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 ha! You got into Harvard because of us. No, just but I mean, what do you guys think about this? Seriously, like these PS5 scalpers. Mav, I'll go ahead and go to you since you've already started talking about it. But what do you think about this, man? Like, and the fact that they charge a subscription service into this?
Yeah, it's just scummy, you know. I mean, I don't like that in general. Like, I understand like some people, you know, they get a couple and they're thinking about selling it for profit, and that's like a small scale thing, right? And I'm not a huge fan of that anyway. But when you actually talk about an organized group where you're going out, and I've seen pictures on the internet where they have like a wall of PS5s, and I saw an article where I think somebody has like 3,500 PS5s, and they have more than the retailers do. Some of them, you know, it's like, it's a problem, and it's obviously it's them that's the problem, but it needs to be solved somehow from the retail side, right? So they got to figure out a way to battle the bots. You know, they got to figure that out somehow. And as far as they're concerned, maybe they don't care because they're selling them anyway, so they get their money. You know, I'm hoping they figure out a solution, because really who loses is us in the end, and the people that really are huge fans and are day one adopters wanted to be there to support their console, get it for Christmas gift for their kid, or they just were super excited and been waiting for this for years and they couldn't get one. And instead a bot got one, and it's going to go to somebody that's willing to pay $1,000 for it instead. Right. And that's just a crappy thing in general. So I hope they figure something out. And as soon as somebody does, I'm hoping it goes to the other retailers and they share it out, and this goes away. Next console launch, it's got to be different. You know, they can't have this. And I don't know if this goes that much into other things, you know, like phones and other things, like when the new iPhones come out. I don't know if this is as big of a problem with that. It doesn't seem like it is, you know. So this, as far as I know, has been a pretty unique issue to this, you know, because there's you people know that they can get them and immediately sell them for profit. Because of how they only come out once every 5 years, 6 years, 7 years when there's a launch like this, right? So the hype is there. So it's on you retailers, Target, Walmart, UK retailers, who retailers around the world, figure out a solution. There's got to be ways around this to figure it out for your customers.
Yeah, I mean, Crazy Greek Dude says that isn't the capture text at the checkout supposed to stop bots? And generally speaking, yes, if they're not sophisticated bots. But to stop a sophisticated bot, you probably need at least like 3 or 4 different captures. Probably like a puzzle one, probably like an image one, where you know, click on the traffic lights or the sidewalks, and then you need one that like actually a sound one that says the words. Probably need multiple, because some of these bots have built-in capture bypassing. Some of them know how to bypass it with strings, so many captures, and then others use a third-party service that actually pay people, like in China or India, to bypass these things. And the only way I found out is because when the sneaker bots were really popular, I was curious about it and I read articles on it from Forbes, and they talked about it. So it was a very interesting thing to me, like how sophisticated these people are. Like, this is a real sophisticated kind of group mindset, and they go through all the trouble thinking of ways to bypass the system that's put in place so a normal consumer can just get something. And it's just ridiculous. It's terrible, man. Dreadpool, what do you think about this, man?
I think they put so much work into hacking the system and trying to cheat the system that it would have been a lot easier just to be honest and, you know, buy it outright like normal people. You know, and that's the funny thing is, a lot of times you like you talk about the sophistication, you know how much hard work goes into doing all that stuff, you know. And I hope, and I put it on Twitter, that those people end up sitting on those for too long, and nobody ends up buying it. Everybody stops buying all these second party sellers, right? So any of these scammers, spammers, whatever you want to call them, right? Because some of them are scammers. I mean, how many people do we know had purchased one for like $700, and all of a sudden the account's gone? They never even got their PlayStation, but they lost $700 just like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So with all that being said, don't be buying anything. If you're not buying it from the actual retailer or a brick and mortar store, do not buy it on eBay. Do not, especially Facebook. Facebook apparently is even worse than Craigslist and eBay right now. They are flooded with those type of scalpers. So do not buy it that way. Buy it brand new so you can actually have a receipt and take it back. Because what happens? Who do you take it back to? Even if you did get your console and it's one of those defective ones, who do you take it back to? You're going to call Sony, and where do you ship it? You're going to have to pay for all that if you can get them to do all that. So no, CYA, make sure your ass is covered. Okay, don't be doing that. Buy it from a legitimate source, and on top of that, you know, I hope that they don't sell any, and all that money that they spend on those, they lose it all because now they can't sell it.
I'm on Facebook right now.
Are you
Just scroll down a little bit. Just scroll down a little bit, and this one called Mercari.
Yeah,
Mercari.
That's a pretty popular website.
Yeah, Xbox Series X, $8.99.
Yeah, nope.
That's relatively cheap for a scalper.
Save your money. Save your money, because less than that price, you can have, including the external expansion card, for less than that price. Okay?
Right.
So don't spend your money that way. Did you want it for your kid? I'm sorry to tell you that the supplies are very limited, and we already knew it was going to be like that because of the past year. They've already told us this, and you know, keep looking. I know that they're restocking here and there, but keep looking. Don't be purchasing them this way. Don't overspend, even if you really want it. This is not one of those. Was it the Arnold Schwarzenegger Rocketeer, whatever that toy was? You know, this is not one of those where you can sit there and try to get one. You know, just save your money, save your time, save your heartache.
Yeah.
$9.50 for a PS5 digital.
Well, don't look on eBay right now because your heart would be crushed. Like, so let me tell you a little story before I ask VJ. I had a PS5 all digital console, and I was thinking that maybe I wasn't gonna end up playing it, so I put it on eBay, and I did put it for a little bit higher price, right? And I was thinking maybe I could use it to buy computer parts or stuff for my Series X, maybe expansion stuff, whatnot. And nobody was interested because all of a sudden there was the rumor when GameStop was going to start, having massive consoles on Black Friday. So the prices took a dive for the PS5s all digital down to they were down to I want to say $6.99, which is still pretty high if you think about it for a $3.99 console. But I'm just saying they took that much of a price dive, and now you take a look after this article about scalpers, they're back up to 1,500 with 48 people watching all of a sudden. It's oh wow, that's a 1 week difference from $6.99 to 1,500. This is insanity. We are insane as people to go ahead and want to buy an all digital console that costs $400 all fresh off the line for 1,500. Let alone you don't even know if it's stolen. Like Dreadpool said, if you have a problem with it and you got to send it back in, what if some of those scalpers stole them or took them off trucks or had drives going on with delivery service people, and it's a serial numbers marked as stolen. You send it into Sony, they're gonna be like, "Sorry, this was reported stolen. You're not getting your stuff back." BJ, what do you think, man?
I only had a brief glimpse at the article. I haven't really investigated it for myself in order to determine its validity, or in fact if the article or situation is true or just blown out of proportion. But I guess where there's smoke, there is fire. And then I did do a quick search on eBay to see, yes, in fact, that the prices are incredibly inflated. And would you believe, I actually know someone very, very well who's a PlayStation gamer. He's coming over for Thanksgiving and said, yeah, he's just forked out $950 for a PlayStation 5 console. Oof. And I was saying, you're insane. But look, at the end of the day, you know, unless I'm provided irrefutable evidence, right, I'm not going to sort of say yes or no. But I'm happy, as I always am, to be humbled with facts, if indeed they're laid out, you know, before me. So I have a different perspective on what is actually more plausibly occurring. I've been in and around distribution circles for a very long time. The major chains all require, if not demand, 90 to 120 days terms from all vendors, no exceptions, whether it's Microsoft or Sony or Nike, it makes no difference to them. That's the price of doing business with blue chip companies. The fourth quarter that we're in right now and Christmas are always incredibly busy periods for every single global retailer, or even local retailer for that matter, or a food truck, right? Regardless of scale or type. Your credit limit with suppliers, no matter who you are, takes an incredible hammering, right, at this time of year. Internal finance departments within corporations and smaller businesses, they're sort of not willing to or won't extend credit beyond the insured limits imposed by their banks or their insurers. And it typically is a part of a bank that provides you invoice discounting. If you exceed your limits, then you, as a customer, you pay off your supplier in order to sort of free up some credit limit in order to be able to purchase stock. That's just really how it is. It's extremely tight at this time of year when you would normally think that cash flow, you know, should be, sort of supreme, rule supreme. It does only to a degree. There is dozens of finance distributors in the US that I know of, UK and in Europe, in fact, across the world. And these distributors, some of them have accounts with Xbox and Sony, some of them buy from official distributors, because Sony and Xbox, they don't sell to every single retailer direct. You know, they'll have a core, and then, you know, if you're below a certain threshold, like if you only buy like 300 or 400 or 500, then they'll just pass that off to another company to handle entirely. So these distributors, they purchase hardware, software, and accessories directly from Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox, or a third-party distributor that's been appointed by platform holders. Since their credit limits are quite small, they would need to purchase their requirements and allocations on pre-order on a pro forma basis. What do I mean by that? Since these retailers and distributors, they have to effectively pay for everything cash in advance. The terms. They are then also, the benefit of that, because they're able to afford to pay for this stuff in advance, is that they're guaranteed their allocation of supply. It's not good as if they're going to be allocated or curtailed or reduced by any stretch of the imagination. It's the same with publishers. If you're a publisher and you pay Nintendo cash in advance for your MOQ or a title, and you want to get ahead of the pecking line, the way you do it is you pay in advance. And it doesn't matter if you're Capcom, EA, Take-Two, or somebody we've never even heard of, PQ, I don't know, publishing, whatever, you will get to the front of the queue if you pay in advance. What these official distributors have seen, I think, this year, and it happens every year, there's always a hot commodity, right, whether it's in the games industry or toy industry or whatever, is an opportunity that is exactly it sort of ties in with the skill set of a distributor. And what I mean by that is seeing an opportunity and exploiting it, especially since margins are typically and invariably throughout the year in the single digits. You know, it's very, very tight business. What's the opportunity? They say, someone mentioned 2,500. I've heard someone mention 3,500 machines, you know, available by these guys, selling them what, $1,000 each or something like that. Clownz. That's a commercial uplift of nearly $2 million. Right? The trade price is a lot lower than the $500 a unit. Every distributor or mid-sized retailer and scalper up and down the food chain is taking their portion or piece of the pie, right? No one is going to refuse the opportunity to make additional amounts of income, especially with the way the world is right now, and with the sort of unpredictability of lockdown happening, not happening. I'm talking from a UK perspective here. I don't know what the lockdown rules are, but in the UK, it's been hit pretty hard right now. Everyone's being promised it will be lifted on the 2nd, but there's also a big group that think it might well be extended. Anyway, especially So why are these people doing it? They're doing it to safeguard themselves, their families, ensuring they can pay their bills and put food on the table. I understand that perspective, but at the end of the day, they're looking out for themselves, regardless of how you sort of how you frame the morality of it, or impose, preach, or indeed throw at it. Right, that is not a good thing, and you know, people are missing out. But you know, it is what it is, right? We sort of a little bit powerless to stop it. Maybe we might be a bit more, have a bit more luck with Comcast. I don't know. But back to official distributors who have accounts with Xbox, they create expensive bundles for trade customers, so they make a decent margin, right? Or they privately sell the allocation of hardware for a premium price, probably close to retail, and also do, again, follow, you know, it follows on. They've paid for it in cash, they'll sell it to a customer that's capable of paying for that money. These specific clients are then free to sell the most sought after commodity, arguably, right, this Christmas, right, between Xbox Series X, S, and PlayStation 5 for sky high, if not inordinately vast sums, right? It's capitalism opportunity at its finest and markedly visible, right? Especially in this case, there's limited to what Sony or Xbox can do and distributors can do, because everyone's looking to make their money where they can, as quickly as possible, to get a return on their cash investment, because they have no idea, right? Sony or Xbox might just suddenly, bang, you know, provide a massive influx of hardware, and all of a sudden they're in a very, very dangerous and precarious game, right? Because they've invested their own cash. Or actually, that's maybe a lie. I think Mav might have hit on a point here. If Sony and Xbox did want to, or were inclined to do so, they could obtain one of these sky high price machines. Maybe they are, and they could track back the hardware. But this stems back to an issue all the way back in the 90s with parallel importing, right? When Sony and Nintendo were having a really hard time with multilingual products, right? Shipping all over the place because of the economics in different countries. You know, Mortal Kombat would be sold for a trade price of £15 in Italy when it was £28.75 in the UK, right? So people would import from Italy, all the distributors that didn't have an account with a claim, and the market was totally wrecked. And it still is the UK market compared to all the other European markets. So anyway, so they could track back the serial numbers and follow the trail. However, I think they've got better things to do than waste their time and resources, and especially, you know, they say there's no such thing as good PR or bad PR. There's just PR and awareness. And maybe they're just putting it down to that, right? Because they're dealing in numbers in the millions of units. So they obviously see it, but they're not. I don't see them being inclined about figuring out what's happening with these 3,500 units that are rumored or reported to just have sort of just occurred, right? And again, I think it's the tip of the iceberg. Look, there's a lot more to it than what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about one aspect, which is distribution. Sony and Xbox know they can't just also push out 5 billion, right? In terms, was it 5 million each, whatever, 5 billion in console hardware on retailers with 90 days terms. It's just, you can see to some degree why also supply is staggered. You would do that as a business, and it's called risk management. They have departments that process and identify, assess, and sort of manage threats to cash flow, capital. The world is on the threshold of financial uncertainty at the moment, and obviously to a degree, they want to ensure these systems work, right? Going all the way back to Dreadpool, right? And what Mav was saying, are these systems overheating? What you know? Why is this bay, you know, locked at the moment, and we can't plug in an NVMe? All of these things, right? Why, you know? So they want to ensure the systems work as well, right? Out in the real world, so to speak. So again, that's a managerial manufacturing risk calculation, right? And factoring that into the equation. I won't mention natural disasters. Whoops, I just did. Sorry.
No, that's all right. So basically what you're trying to say is that
I don't know.
At the end of the day, yeah, I'm a little confused, but I'm gonna try to do layman's terms here, because everybody in the chat says what. So I think what VJ is trying to say is that pretty much that at the end of the day, companies in a massive large numbers. Number one, he did say this in his statement that Sony's not really going to care about the serial number at the end of the day because there's just so many out there. Number two, I think I heard that basically that these retailers they get so many allotted and they pre-purchase them, so when they sell them, even to scalpers, they don't care because they're getting money at the end of the day, and that's all that matters. It's just capitalism. And you know, he's got a strong point there. VJ, am I close enough to what you were trying to say?
Let's just go with that. I mean, I have no idea. I thought I was all prepared for this show, and I'm just going to wing it. And now look at the mess I'm in.
No, you're not in a mess.
You're not a mess. You did
VJ, I love you. You can make me feel depressed, motivated, confused, awe-inspired and forget the question in 10 minutes.
Thanks.
Oh, I thought you were going to say horny in there too. It's like, yeah, he's running down the whole list.
Yeah, it's a talent.
My listener in the chat is asking me to breathe.
So
Yeah,
basically, what I think it is a lot of people are more concerned about the ethics behind all this. Is
Yes.
what
Yeah.
it is.
It's
You know what I
it's
mean?
us,
And
the
that's
consumers that are
right.
concerned.
It's like the end of what is it, Billy Madison, and the next subject is business ethics.
Yeah,
I gotta watch. Speaking of that movie, I gotta watch it again. It's been a long
it's
time.
It's that classic doomsday mentality, you know, like, oh, there's not enough. We're all gonna be stuck inside. $800, I'll pay for it.
Yeah.
no, it's $800. I got the money. My kid wants it, and I was a dumbass and didn't like look around for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and spend it.
So it's a combination of laziness.
Yes.
Well, I'm just gonna transition to our next topic in a sense. So I did read more on this Red Dead Online stuff while you guys and VJ were talking about the Scalper situation, and I find this very interesting. Okay, according to the official press release from Rockstar, starting December 1st, Red Dead Online will become available for purchase on its own on PlayStation Store, MS Store, Rockstar Games Launcher, Epic Games Store, Steam, PS4, and Xbox One versions will be playable via backwards compatibility on the PS5 and Xbox X or S. According to the company, the standalone version, listen, are you ready for this? The standalone version of Red Dead Online will be $4.99 at launch, which is 75% off what it will retail for after February 15th, 2021. So if you buy this standalone, you'll have the option later on to unlock RDR2 single player story mode, although they haven't announced the price for that yet.
Bollocks. What? Oh, sorry.
So I think they're trying to double dip here, guys. I think that's what this is. I think this is a double dipping situation.
Who, Take-Two?
So, question.
No.
So, are they, for the ones that have already bought the game, are they going to somehow split them?
I think for the ones that already bought the game, I think you're still gonna be able to have your RDR2, but it's
Like, is it going to be
possible-
like they did with Crackdown? You know, they had the campaign as one download and the multiplayer as the other download. Are they going to, you know, like personally, I would rather have stuff like that. Like, I would rather that be kind of getting closer
Yeah.
to a norm, because for me, as not as much of a multiplayer person, if I could just buy the campaign as a discount, like, you know, $30 for the campaign and 15 whatever for the multiplayer, I'm all for it. I played a little bit of the online. It was actually, you know, it's pretty fun. So, and if they put a lot of content in it, I don't see a problem with this.
See, that's the thing though. Like, I imagine with this kind of pricing model that you're still gonna pay. Let's say like Red Dead Redemption 3 comes out, right? I imagine you're still gonna pay $60 just for the single player, and then Red Dead Online, if you don't have it yet and you wanted it, you would pay what's that, like $5. So about $25 for Red Dead Online separately.
Well,
If
it, I
the
mean, it
camp- I
came.
mean,
Yeah, it came.
You got to think of the quality too. I mean, if it's AAA quality, and I know we're getting into something a little hairy here, but I mean, like, if it's AAA quality and it has a long extended story, you know, 20, 25 plus hours, that's fine. If it's going to be like Anthem, then yeah, that would be a problem. But I mean, you know, just for the reputation that Red Dead has, you know, obviously case by case basis, this would be fine for me.
So I basically think that people that don't have it yet, I think we're fine because we have it, right? For all of us to have it, we already have our single player story mode that we're not going to have to pay extra for. I think they'll put a paywall on the online later on, so that if we try to access the online at that point, they would paywall it. That's what I would imagine that Rockstar and Take-Two would do to generate more money, because I don't think the Red Dead Online was really that popular this time around as they thought it was going to be.
Well, it's growing in popularity still because they keep coming out with new content. And if you even go back to GTA Online, it didn't launch as like when GTA Online came out, it was like pretty limited, right? Like, and they kept growing, it kept growing into this huge success, right? And Red Dead Online, it has grown at a slower pace, but it's still growing and it still has its fans. And I think maybe part of the reason of that is to allow more accessibility for people to just have access to Red Dead Online that don't care about playing the campaign, because it is really popular with that younger crowd that is into those kind of online games, right? Like GTA Online, or like even kind of like Fortnite and some of those games, because it's kind of like a game that has evolving content. New stuff keeps coming out. There's always something new. There's always something to check out, right? So it's also kind of a shared world experience type online thing. So if we bought the single player campaign and we bought Red Dead Redemption 2, we have Red Dead Online already, right? And this is only for people like you said that don't have it, that want to just experience Red Dead Online but don't care about the campaign. So that's fine. That's fine to me. You know what I mean? What Midway was saying, what I think would be cool is if, because they're able to install just the multiplayer. So because that is happening, it would be nice if I could install the campaign and just keep the multiplayer on my Xbox, right? Because I'm done with the campaign.
Yeah, and that would be great for next gen storage. You know, if
Yes.
you just don't want to play with the campaign, and I mean, you got Warzone multiplayer zealots out there that don't even care about the campaign. They would be just fine.
Yeah. I think when Red Dead Redemption 3 eventually comes out 10 years from now, whenever that's going to happen, if it happens, then I'm pretty sure they would probably either just have Red Dead Online as its standalone experience that kept evolving over the years and is what it is then, or it be included again with the new game, you know, like they have. So I'm not really worried about what this means as far as pricing with the games and all that kind of stuff. You know, where the concern would be is because it is the company that's doing it, because they have a kind of a history of like making things more expensive and trying to double dip on things, you know. But this seems different than that to me. You know, if you're just trying to grow the online game and allow and that has benefit for current Red Dead Online players, for an influx of new players to come in, that there's a benefit for them too, to keep the game alive and keep it going longer and allow it more to grow even more. So I would think if you're a Red Dead fan and you don't care about the campaign, this would be a good thing. You know, it's the game's actually good. Like the Red Dead Online is fun. There's a lot to do in there. There's even a little story type thing going on behind the scenes, you know. So if that's the price, $4.99.
Well, that's just the price before they increase it. That's just like the launch price. And then after February 15th, 2021, it will increase by 75%.
So it'll be $20 then. Right.
Yeah.
So that even $20 for Red Dead Online that's a good deal. You know, I would pay that in a heartbeat.
I have an issue with that, actually. Because here's my thought, right? You break it down, and if you start splitting up these games that were traditionally a single player with a multiplayer aspect on it, now it's giving you the opportunity to double dip. Okay, well, you know, yes, it's great that we can do like Crackdown 3 did. You have a multiplayer version that you can download or not download, and then you have your campaign that you can download or not download, right? So they're separate, but yet they're the same game. Okay, that's fine. But when you're looking at some of these games, if they're going to start separating them, and they're, you know, part of the game is campaign, and the other part is the multiplayer, right? So when you looked at Black Ops 3, they said, oh, we're not going to do the campaign on this one. Well, guess what? I didn't buy it. I'm not paying $60 for an online-only multiplayer game. Other people chose that.
Yeah,
right?
that was 4. That was 4, and I didn't even touch that one.
Right. But that's the thing. I'm not spending that kind of money when they split the game in half. They gave me half the game. No, I'm not doing that. And the fear is that, okay, yeah, it's $20, but it's an older game. Okay. And yeah, if you get it within the launch window, it's $5, $5, whoopie-doo. But that's also, yet again, for those who have hesitated for this length of time, $5, yeah, why not? Jump in there. And if you get a deal out of it to get the campaign later on, that's cool too. But later on, if you're paying $20, okay, well, what's the deal for the campaign? How much are you paying for the campaign? Are you spending another $20 again for the campaign? So it's going to be $40 total. I can see that. But now here's a slippery slope. What was it?
But that would still be a good value, right?
Right.
Drew?
That
I
would
mean,
be
if
a
they
good
did that.
value, but it's a slippery slope now, because now
Yeah.
you can say, look, we're releasing 2 versions of the same game. One's going to be the multiplayer if it's one of those type of games, right? So now they can start doing that with Call of Duty. Just as an example, right? They can start doing that with Call of Duty, saying, hey, look, we gave you Warzone. That's a free game. You don't have to worry about it. It's free. But to play the campaign, that's $60. Oh, and by the way, if you want to play the online multiplayer portion, that's $60 again. So
Yeah,
now
so
you're
basically
spending
worried about-
$120 with the incentive of your third game being free.
Yeah.
You see, that's the hill I don't want it to start rolling down.
For me, as long as the value is the same, as long as totally I'm paying the same price or less, then I'm happy. If let's say Call of Duty, for example, they said, okay, the campaign's $30, the multiplayer's $30, that's actually cool for me. But if they say, okay, the campaign's $40 and the multiplayer's $40,
and what they do with
Right.
Black Ops 3, we're not going to give out the campaign. It wasn't ready, so we're not doing it. And they still charge you $60.
Yeah.
See? So yet again, different company, but it's still, they're all feeling their oats. They're trying to figure out different ways to do this. In like, as a company, you have to make money. Don't get
We
me
have
wrong.
to wait
You
and
have to
see
make
on
money.
this, though. You know what I mean? We have to
But
wait and see
we
what they
can't-
actually do.
Yeah, we have to wait and see, but it's a slippery slope. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
you
To be
it
to
all
be on my-
started
to
all
be on my
started-
side. Sorry. Go ahead.
it all started with a horse skin. Everything, all your maps were free, right? So you're playing multiplayer, that was free. Oh, you had new levels that you could play, even if it was a campaign, or multiplayer maps that you were able to play for free. It all started with a horse skin, and then from that point on, everything started being chargeable. Oh, well, now we'll charge you for the expansion to this game. Like I said, I got no problem if there's enough validation there to be an expansion. But if you're going to give me another map to play a multiplayer game, especially this day and age, where it's the same map that we've had for the past 2-3 generations, but it's just updated, bogus.
Well, I'll say that they've also given us, a lot of games have given us more content than they ever have for free as well, right? Like,
right, and
I
that's yeah, I agree that they need to get paid, but when it comes to certain games like that, yeah, it's good to get the more content for free.
Listen to all three of us and how different everything is. Like for me being mainly a campaign guy, if they were to split it up like that, I just saved $30 if it's a $40 campaign on games that, especially with 2K, getting games going up to $70. So I feel like I just saved some money.
But what if they charge you $60 because $70 would include your multiplayer?
That's what they do now.
Exactly, but you're going to be charging you $70 soon. If their plan goes into fruition and everybody jumps up to $70.
So what? So the
It-
hypothetical of multiplayer being $20 and then your campaign being 50.
I don't think,
I mean, like if it equals a $70 game, I feel like I just saved money because
but
I'm
who says
using.
it's going to be
bec-
$20?
I just
It's
feel.
going to be a new
I just.
game.
Yeah,
We're all
but they're
talking
gonna
about.
make
Hey,
they're gonna make
we're all
more
talking
money.
about hypotheticals here. So,
Yeah,
Right.
but if you're talking about a multiplayer that I know that I'm not gonna touch, and I just saved $20 because I just want the campaign, that is good for me.
Right. But the thing is, it's a slippery slope. They could start charging you more for it. So it's not going to equal the same. You're going to end up spending more.
I don't think
And
they will.
that's where we need to make sure that they don't do that, that they need to know that our voices are heard, that we don't want that. We don't mind splitting it up. And if I'm only interested in campaign, I can pay for the campaign only. That's fine, but don't jack up the price because it's not a bundle or part of the game.
I don't think they're doing this though because of to sell the multiplayer. They don't care about making the money on selling the multiplayer. They care about the amount of people playing the multiplayer that's going to be into that world of monetization now. So because the multiplayer, the monetization isn't in the campaigns. It's in the multiplayer, right?
Did I mention Black Ops 3?
Right. Well, Black Ops 3, that they screwed up on that with the campaign, and that's kind of a unique situation, right? Like there was a planned campaign for that game that they had to scrap, and then Activision being Activision, we all paid the price for it still, right? If we wanted to buy that game. So that's a unique situation there. But however, going forward, you're seeing a lot more of these games be cheaper with multiplayer or free to play, right? And to separate Red Dead Online, which is that style of kind of game, have a really easy low entry point. You're trying to flood the player base with new players that are going to buy little things, buy microtransactions, buy all this stuff, that's going to live in this world. I think they're less concerned about. Yeah, they want to sell the horse skins. They want to sell that stuff. I don't think they care as much about, hey, we want to make this $5 or $20. They want to make it easier for people to not have that $50 barrier, $60 barrier of having to buy the whole game to get into that multiplayer world. You know what I mean?
Okay, well, what about The Last of Us?
Last of
multiplayer. Where's that?
It came out, didn't it? On Last of Us 2? Didn't they have multiplayer that came out on that yet?
Nope.
Not out yet. Well, I think it's coming.
Yeah, since 2019.
We'll see. The first Last of Us, the multiplayer was delayed on that too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
I think it came out later.
On my end, I got my money's worth with the campaign, so I would never play that multiplayer anyway. So again, it's all case by case basis.
Well, it's also your perspective of it, because
Right.
originally, for those of us that used to play these games, the campaign was the game, the multiplayer was the bonus. All right, and now obviously a lot of games, the multiplayer is the game and the campaign is the bonus. So it just depends on your outlook of it. My whole thing is, I don't want it to run away where you have to end up paying more. So let's say we're paying $40 for the campaign, $40 for the multiplayer. Or if they do the free version, they make more money on free games than they make money on anything else. You know what I mean? Because of all the little boosts. Look at Fortnite, prime example. It's a free game. You know how much money they're making hand over fist?
Yep. They made, 8 billion last year.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I think they're making it so easy for people to access Red Dead Online. They're trying to make more money by having it more accessible to more people. Right.
Right.
As far as like GTA Online actually even came out, the multiplayer on that with GTA 5 came out after GTA 5's launch. So there's several games where it's, they've had Ghost of Tsushima just now had the co-op update. Watch Dogs Legion multiplayer update coming out in December, right? So it's a thing now for some reason that these multiplayer game updates and things are coming out after the fact of the initial game's release. But as long as they don't charge extra for that, then I'm okay with that. As long as the campaign is a standalone big enough experience, But as far as the Red Dead goes, Like it just if you play Red Dead Online, it's that kind of game. It's that kind of, you know, GTA Online, like Red Dead Online. It's kind of like that living world, you know, built around new content constantly, right? So it just makes sense for that game. It doesn't necessarily make sense for every game, right? So we have to keep an eye on what all these companies are doing and how it's going to evolve, like you said. But for this specific game, right now, I don't have an issue with it.
No, I don't have an issue with this game. I'm just saying before it all started with the horse skin. You know what I mean? So we have to bear in mind what's going on. I mean, you look at the expansions that you got from The Witcher 3. Well worth the money because they put so much into it. But don't throw something out there and be like, all right, go search for my leg and I'll give me $20 so you can go search for this guy's leg as your quest. You know what I mean?
No, it happens. You know, there's stuff out
but
there.
That's what happens. And that's why it's a slippery slope that you got to watch out. You got to make sure that we have careful footing with these companies, because like I said, they want to make money and they will make as much money as they possibly can up until they get caught. Look at Battlefront 2. Right?
Yeah.
Pay to win. They got caught. They had to backtrack.
Yeah.
BJ, do you have anything that you want to say on this? I know that you said some things, but I didn't really hear you say a lot.
Kind of. I think everyone's got a different perspective. I think if you look at whatchamacallit, Midway. Sorry, every time I think of him, I just see these big forearms, which are bigger than my feet. I'm not lying; it's true. You know, games and pricing is completely subjective. You know, you know, I was looking at Yoshi's World or whatever it is, $60. It's an 8-hour game. You know, even though I love the demo, I refuse to pay it. But Zelda, I would have paid $100. And I was just chatting with Cerebral Paul in the chat. You know, he has no problem with a $60 single player game. It's all subjective, and I guess we have choices out there. But there are some experiences which we all don't want to miss. But sometimes are put off by the pricing. But I'm kind of leaning towards what Dreadpool is saying, because whether it's Activision, whether it's EA, you know, everything is strategic and planned to a minute level. And he's right, is the fact that don't look at what it says on the tin. You know, you need to take a deeper dive into where is gaming headed. And I've talked about a dystopian future of subscription gaming and how that, you know, we may be quarreling over today, you know, we're not quarreling, debating about, you know, Red Dead Redemption, which is by, you know, just by the sheer number of sales. Obviously somebody somewhere enjoyed, you know, the single player campaign, right? And obviously many enjoy the multiplayer campaign, whether it's going to be subscription based going forward. And as Dreadpool was saying, you know, it's all going to be microtransaction based, because Activision, you know, roped in something like $1 billion last quarter just on microtransactions. Everyone's looking at business models that makes them money, especially money that is flowing in on a continual basis, right? Predictable cash flow. That's what these guys are looking for. And are single player games going to become shorter, which the Take-Two CEO has kind of alluded to. Even Jim Ryan just came out and said, you know, look, $100 million games or $150 million games, you know, are risky, right? So I have no idea where campaigns are going in the future. And I'm glad I'm shifting a little bit more, more of my time over to indie games, because you know exactly what you're getting. But yeah, I think it's really important to see where gaming is headed. I've got Red Dead Redemption, but it's one of those games in the backlog. I never managed to get to play it. So it's really difficult for me to actually comment on the game specifically. But I was interested to see, and I don't know if this is true or not, but as I was sort of checking about Red Dead Redemption, I just saw that Codemasters, right, are being acquired or in the process of being acquired for close to $1 billion by Take-Two in the UK. And and I was thinking, surely it can't be for the IP or the supreme talent over at Codemasters over in Leamington Spa. I mean, they're only 15 minutes up the road from Playground Games, which is obviously founded by former executives at Codemasters. And I'm sure, you know, they're going to be looking at talent, you know, to come from there, obviously, as well, to come over to work to Take-Two. So it does kind of pave the idea in terms of what are they planning, with that headcount, right, in the UK, right? Is it in fact something to do with GTA Online, GTA 5 Online, or GTA Online, or whatever, or is it the next, main campaign in GTA 6? I have no idea, but it is interesting because Take-Two have been on a recruitment drive lately. But I guess all we can do is wait and see. So those are my thoughts on it. But there is a far bigger topic here that Dreadpool's hit upon, which maybe we'll discuss on another podcast.
Can I add something? I don't want to bring up a whole nother can of worms, Clownz.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
But so you were talking about how that every predictable cash flow, subscriptions, and that's the future of gaming. So I don't know if y'all saw the news that came out today with Fortnite.
No.
So there was just announced was Fortnite Crew. It's an $11.99 It's $11.99 per month subscription that you can choose to take a part in. You get 1,000 V-Bucks a month, exclusive content, and also access to the battle. Always access to the battle pass. So that is an optional thing that they are coming out with, and it's gonna draw a lot of people. So, and the reason I think it's a big deal is because it's Fortnite. Fortnite is the trendsetter now with free to play in the market as far as what's possibly going to be going forward. There was also a similar subscription that's already existed for Roblox, right? For like a Roblox club member or whatever, that's been around for a while. But I think this Fortnite thing is going to gain some ground and it's going to be pretty popular. So newly announced, I think it's going to be a big deal.
I mean, you just have to look across at Square Enix, right? Their biggest cash cow right now is Final Fantasy 14, right? Which has got over 20 million paying subscribers. And if you just look at Activision's business model between Blizzard, King, Activision, in terms of their main campaigns, and this is just going back to what Dreadpool was saying, how short that is, but the microtransactions within Call of Duty, again, I'm not completely familiar with. That is the business model. I don't know about Sony and Nintendo, but that is what other publishers, that's what even Microsoft are all heading towards. A combination of those three. To what degree, and if the circle's overlapping, to what degree they play a part, and how they, sort of systematically introduce it, so to lead you towards it rather than push you towards it, is going to be really, really interesting. And that's why I said there's a far, far bigger topic here, most definitely. Is everyone gone?
No, I'm still here.
We just left.
No, I think if you're only a Fortnite player, something like that makes sense because you're already spending that much money and more.
I'm gonna get it because I'm using more money than that already for my daughter, right? So I'm gonna get it for her because it's actually going to save me some money in the long run. So it makes sense for me for that, right?
Sorry, you gotta wait till the first of the month to get your V-Bucks.
Well, no, she's gonna get probably more than that, but I actually have her on she gets like an allowance for doing chores and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So she always uses it on V-Bucks. It's it's not even a question.
You pay her in V-Bucks?
Pretty much. I mean,
I'll give you 20 V-Bucks if you take out the trash.
Yeah.
All right. Another 5 to put a new trash bag in.
That would I should do it that way because the rate for V-Bucks is more than dollars, right? So she wouldn't do the math properly,
Until the first time she's gonna be like, wait a second.
You mean I can only get a pickaxe?
You had me give you a foot massage for 20 V-Bucks and I didn't get nothing with it.
Yeah, it's not 20 bucks, sweetheart. It's 20 V-Bucks. Ha ha ha.
Is this the first game other than WoW, right? Is this the first game to really have a monetary subscription service?
No.
What are the games? I'm not familiar.
Well, the Final Fantasy MMOs, there's lots of MMOs, but
there's
besides
a lot
that,
of Planet Side, all that stuff from way back when.
Roblox, like I said, has a subscription.
Yeah,
that's had for a while. It's a monthly thing, and you get perks and you get Robux per month and stuff like that. They really go after the kids, and if you go into mobile game, it's like a whole. That's like a huge
I'm just saying,
thing,
console-based gaming,
yeah. I think it's
Okay.
new for this style of game. You know, this
Yeah,
type of game.
I had to delete Roblox because my daughter decided she was going to buy something and she had no idea what she was doing. I was like, "What are you doing?" No. So, but yeah, you know, she was younger at that time, but I was like, "Nope, you're not having it on there because of stuff like this." You know what I mean? It's
Mm.
she bought it on my account. She was playing on my Xbox with my account and then decided to buy something. And it was like, "No, you have your account, which has no credit card on it."
Yeah.
But, you know, she was smart enough to know if I shift over to daddy's account, and that's the whole thing. It's geared more for children. And that's the funny part. The whole loot box, the whole gambling, all this stuff is still geared. As much as we say that this is an adult game, adult hobby, you know what I mean? There's still others that are below us that are growing and getting into this hobby that have access to it just like we do. So that's the thing. They're trying to regulate us because of the children versus regulating the children. And at the same time, whose fault was it that my daughter bought something on Roblox? Was it Roblox's fault? Was it the industry's fault? Or was it my fault? Right? That was my fault because I didn't put a lock on my card like, you know, like I have now. But that's the whole thing. At that time, I didn't think I was going to have to worry about it. But yet again, you have all these parents that don't pay attention. You know, the kids go out there and grab a credit card and start buying V-Bucks. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it's ultimately it should fall on the parents. You know,
They're just like M-rated
it's-
games, right?
yeah,
Like
I believe
you know, the parents should be the ones responsible for letting their kid play what they play, not
right.
not the kid. You know,
And then when the kid goes in there and tries to buy an M-rated game or whatever the rating, M-rated game, you know, I applaud GameStop employees when they say, "No, I can't sell you this."
yeah.
You know, and then you see the parents come in and they're like,
What the
"I
hell?
can't believe you. I'm sitting out there. I don't care. I don't know who you are. It's not my job to pay attention to where your kid came from and what's going on with your kid."
it's
You know what I mean?
it's the new kid in the gas station buying the parents cigarettes.
No, they're buying their own cigarettes.
Well, guys, we passed the 2-hour mark and Retro Renegades is already live, and I'm getting the bat signal from the RR guys. So, don't mean to cut the
Tell 'em to wait.
conversation short. I know we've been having so much fun over here, and I was waiting for some more stuff from VJ to pop up, but today VJ was more calm. I'm surprised, VJ. You didn't have your scholar books out, and you didn't, go into financial data sheets with us. Which in all honesty, VJ, I actually do appreciate your knowledge. I think that I always say this to everyone that I think you're one of the smartest people in this industry, in the podcast game. I think that you know a lot more about the industry than most people do. I think that you study it more, and you're just fantastic, man. VJ, I'm just giving you all this praise. You got gold stars today. You got A pluses. You got everything, VJ. I give you everything today, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me on the show. And, I won't be able to do what I do if you hadn't given me an opportunity to do it, right? So I really appreciate it.
Well, anytime, man. And I just had to give you that shout because I know sometimes, British humor and American humor is different, and sometimes I'm not sure if you think we're, laughing with you or laughing at you, but we're laughing with you, man. Like I really do enjoy your stuff and your knowledge. And the way that you just go in depth into the topics is mind blowing. Even Xbot448 said that he wants to get you on the next podcast one day because he thinks that he loves the industry talk that you do and thinks that you can out talk most people. Because most people just talk, but you actually have figures and numbers, and so all praise for you, VJ, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and do the outros for everybody today. And I want to thank Dreadpool for coming on tonight. It was his night off from work, and the dude is a hard work. Let me tell you, he's a hard working dude, man. Like he goes to work in the middle all hours of the night, climbs roofs in Florida with wind gear on, fences off people that could be like lurking in the alleyways sometimes, just by the stores that he's got to work at. And then during the day, instead of going home right away, he does Breaking Bread with Dread and hits me up sometimes and hits up Tempest Sun and whoever else is in town, man. And he takes us out to lunch and talks to us. And Dread, I don't know how you do it, but you do it. And then sometimes you go home and you only get like 2-3 hours of sleep, and then you take your daughter bike riding to, you have your daddy daughter go out to eat days. Like, I don't know how you do it, man, but you do it and you pull it off, and you don't know how, man. It's a skill, I think, at this point, at our ages, man.
The secret is he doesn't have time to play video games. He just doesn't tell anybody.
Yeah, you just kind of have to. Well, don't forget the past month I haven't had an Xbox because mine turned into a paperweight.
Yeah.
So I was able to play like a half hour before I decided to say nope, you're done, and shut down completely and pop the fuse. But no, it's a necessity thing. You do what you got to do out of necessity. Just like usually when I hit you up is because I'm already working into the day. So I'm already got 12 hours in by the time I hit you up to say, hey, let's go to lunch. So
yeah, well, tell people where they could find you, man, and tell them about Breaking Bread with Drag, because I think that's a fantastic podcast, and you have some really big plans for that. And then today we even talked about other plans in the Four Guys chat, which you could talk about, and we'll try to get all that together as well, online and offline, and do something like that. But go ahead, Dredd, tell everyone.
All right. Well, obviously, thank you everybody for being here. We couldn't be here if it wasn't for you. We'd still be here, but we'd be by ourselves, right? So Breaking Bread with Dread is I want to do something different. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to sit down with somebody and be able to talk about whatever we wanted to talk about. It all started with we could do you too, no problem. But it all started with Tempest Sun. I sat down, met up with them. We sat down, we started talking while we were eating, and
ouch, that hurts.
Brainstorm. This is what we're gonna do. And because Clownz and I were already talking about meeting up and doing all this stuff, and hanging out, going to Dave and Buster's and stuff like this. It was like it just like came together. And it was like, this is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to happen. And that's what it was. We sit down, we eat, we talk about whatever is the hottest topics right now. If we're a gamer, we're talking about gaming. If we're a different type of person, and we talk about what they do. If they're a streamer, we talk about streaming, so it's open to anything. So any kind of personality. And that's where Midway Monster came in, because he was my first guinea pig. And,
I was the first.
Yeah, you were the first.
So proud.
Yeah.
Technically, yeah. I was a guinea pig.
But no, you can find it on anchor.fm, Dreadpool. We're on Spotify, podcast, radio, public, iTunes, so it's all over the place. If you just go to anchor.fm/Dreadpool, you'll find it there. It's like I said, we sit down and you have live interaction with the wait staff when they come up to us. You have people in the background talking. So we'll leave it at that, because I know we got to get going, and I know Clownz needs to hurry up and leave. So Dreadpool at Twitter, the O's are zeros, YouTube gamertag, and Stadia, all letters, all caps. Every Wednesday night, you can find me at Gaming Beyond the Box at 8 p.m. Eastern. Every Friday morning, Breakfast with Boom, mornings at 10 a.m., except for this week, it's going to be 12 a.m. on Wednesday during the day. And tonight, I will be back on Noof's channel with Gaming After Dark with Mag and Titan Drago. And then, if everything's still according to plan, Thursday night, I will be with the original Next Level Gaming guys. And Friday night, I will be on with Fun Speculation, the Mav. And nice. Somewhere between all that, I got to figure out, because you and I, Clownz, we had a Breaking Bread with Dread just the other day, last week. I'm still working on it. And I actually did have one this past Monday with another person, and it's a repeat guest, by the way, just so you can try to figure out who it is.
Tempest Sun.
I'm not telling you. You'll have to wait until I air it.
VJ.
Yes, sir.
It's from California.
Oh,
No,
I'm
we're talking about Dred's guest.
Oh,
I said-
I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it's James Bond. I wanted to just quickly, if I can, Clownz, just wanted to say something, if that was okay.
Sure, Dred. Are you finished with your outro?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah, go for it, VJ.
One more thing. And it was a pleasure today not to have HR called on me.
Ooh.
You're welcome, VJ.
Sweet.
Just really quickly, you can also, if you guys want to, you can find me on Saturday's community night gaming with Mr. Tushi and friends, and it was really good to see you there, Clownz, at the weekend. I know I don't speak much on those things, and I just want to wish everyone a great weekend and a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Oh, thanks, VJ. Well, speaking of that, while you're talking, VJ, where can people find you, man?
Oh, just on that community game night thingy-majig on the Saturday nights, and I'm on Stubbs Gaming tomorrow night. And if you are looking for me on Twitter, I don't know why you would. I'm at Viewpoint Gaming.
And I hear that you don't like Flamish's golf rules, and I can't blame you. They are very stressful.
No, I really like that golf game. It's a little frustrating, but I think that the banter that occurs while playing that game is just offsets the ridiculousness nature of that game itself.
I mean, true. Definitely some words get shared on that game. Mav, I want to go to you next. And you've been doing a lot of stuff lately, Mav. AK Fun Speculation. I don't know what to call you either sometimes. Sometimes I call you Mav.
Just say Mav. Just say Mav. It's good.
Okay. Mav. You've been doing a lot of stuff lately. You've been on different shows, doing your own show. You started getting your wife on your show, who kind of like it throws in those funny comments and off topics that are just hilarious. Like when I was watching the show the other day, she was in the chat talking about home decor while you were talking about games. So can you tell people where they can find you at, man?
So yeah, you can check me out on Twitter at Fun Speculation, and also YouTube is at Fun Speculation as well. The podcast that we have is Xbox Ultimate Podcast. We just had episode 17. The last two episodes were our first two live episodes, and it's going to this format that all you guys see and seem to enjoy on all these other podcasts. We're going to have a guest with a panel. This Friday, we're going to have 3 of the GBTB guys. Should be great. I got Husk, we got Dred, and we have Clownz, my fellow 4 guy, the leader of the 4 guys. Thank you, sir, for coming on. So it should be fun. And yeah, I love having my wife on the show. She does play games. She loves Halo. She plays Call of Duty. She loves House Flipper. She likes The Sims. But it's fun to have her just have a different take or just random thoughts sometimes, because it just helps lighten the mood, I think. So that's going to be fun to do. And yeah, if you guys want to check that out, also it's on. Like I said, it's on the YouTube channel, but you can also listen on Spotify. You can listen on Apple Podcasts. You can listen on Amazon Music or Google Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you want to listen. You can probably find it there. And yeah, thanks for having me again as part of this panel. I've really enjoyed doing this the last few weeks, and hope it keeps going long into the future.
Absolutely, Mav. Definitely. And same for your show. Your show is awesome. I think it's very unique, and it's a very positive show. And we need more positive shows in the community, I think, that reach out to other members of the community. And the podcast Xbox community is really a large community, but sometimes you just see so much negative stuff on Twitter that people don't realize how positive this whole community actually really is. The Twitter comments are only 1% of the negative trolls, and everyone else is pretty much positive and has fun playing games no matter where you play games, and it's not a big deal if you got PlayStation or Nintendo or even a Amico or Atari or Vita. It doesn't matter, man.
Yeah.
Midway, I know that sometimes after the podcast you rush to the gym to work out those muscles because you're probably getting more tattoos or something like that along the lines. You know, your tattoo artist is probably like having a hard time there, getting that in there. But you know, when you're not hulking out in, was it Illinois or Illinois?
Illinois.
No.
Where? Yeah. I should. You know what? I should put that in like the comment section. ILLINOIZE Illinois.
I
where
do
can-
ILL and then I quote noise.
Yeah,
Now,
there you go.
now, do you say Arkansas? Arkansas.
No. Well, I know Arkansas spells out Arkansas.
Right.
I'll put it
but you
that
say
way.
Arkansas. You don't say Arkansas. So it's
Right.
Illinois, not Illinois.
Well, you know, I always had that problem. I always called it Illinois. I guess it's maybe a Pennsylvania thing where we just don't pronounce things correctly, like route or route. You know, we don't care about that either.
It's an
But
Indian name. That's how it's spelt, and that's how it's pronounced.
What name?
is it?
What's that?
Illinois.
Illinois. Oh, okay.
I did not even know that. See, I learned something else besides Larry Bird being 6'9".
Yeah.
Illinois is an Indian name. I did not know that. Well, I learned two things tonight thanks to this panel. You guys always teach me things. VJ's always teaching me things too. But Midway, seriously though, when you're not hulking out at the gym and scaring all the other guys out of the gym and being like 6 foot, 17 inches tall or whatever, where can people find you at?
Well, Dreadpool really knows how tall I am. Stop puffing me up. You know, some guy's gonna look at me he's like, you're not that big, and then we're gonna have to fight. So, thanks, Clownz. And then hopefully, guys, Dreadpool and Clownz, I should be down there, on the December 27th. That should be my time to come down there, and I'll be there till January 5th. So we gotta plan something, get something going. Maybe a breaking bread, maybe.
I think it sounds like it's in the works already.
I have a suggestion.
Absolutely.
Have a 3-person Breaking Bread with Dread.
Actually, that's already been in the works.
Dreadpool,
It has not come into fruition.
He's tried so many times to get it to happen.
Your
and
lunch bill's just going to get a little bit higher.
Somebody just can't make it. Yeah. You almost had a 4-person group going, but I couldn't make
we almost did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went from 4 to 1.
Oh wow. That's not good.
So just to finish, it's Midway 8 Monster on Twitter, and everyone should know that Dreadpool's the one that really got me into the podcast game, threw me in the water. I didn't test it. He threw me right in. So I appreciate a lot from him. He's the man to me. So again, thank you so much, Mav. Always fun. VJ, my English American brother, love ya.
Thank you, sir.
Back to you, Clownz.
Well, I heard word from Lord Cognito that he is going to reach out to you to guest on Iron Lord's podcast sometime in the future. Yeah, he said he likes the way that you interact. Lord Cognito?
For who?
Iron Lord's podcast?
No, who does he want?
You
Midway.
as a
He
guest.
wants Midway.
As a guest.
What?
Yeah, he should be.
Oh my god.
He's
Okay.
he's fangirling out, guys. No.
I got
but,
you.
Check
your DMs.
Yep. Everybody can find me at Italian Clowns on almost all social media. 4 Guys with Quarters, 4GWQ Podcast on Twitter. Trying to bring back the comic book show because I have a lot of comic book artists supposed to interview them. We do have some interviews coming up. December 4th is going to be the Jim Hygel interview, so hopefully some people can make that one on the panel. If not, that's okay. Flamish might be available from his bus ride, and you'll hear the background noise and the people on the bus, but that'll be good. Jim Hygel is from EA. He's a developer. He's also the inventor of the SSD Switchblade, which people have gotten some reviews of, or impressions of, I should say, out there. And we had some talks. Flamish came up to me with an idea. He wanted to do something like a online Dungeons and Dragons or Roll20 or Tabletop Simulator with the panel. Do it live on the channel. And also my other buddy Cody, who is part of Four Guys. You guys actually don't know him. He handles some of the PR stuff in the background, but he's been part of that for a very long time. He's just been inactive because he's a active duty police officer. He's actually very excited about that, and he used to be a Dungeons and Dragons player and all that stuff. I never played that kind of stuff, so Flamish and him and you guys are probably gonna, you know, kick my ass on that. But hey, it's all good. It's all fun. Whatever. I'd like to hang out with you guys and do stuff like that. So hopefully we can get together, get a time together, get it done. I know Flamish is already seeming at the bits with like 10 Red Bulls trying to think of being the dungeon master, but he just can't translate to English. So he was asking somebody else on the panel, like Dreadpool or maybe Cody, to
He
do
wants to be
that.
the dungeon master.
Yeah, but he doesn't know how to translate it to English, so he was gonna ask somebody else to do it.
Did anybody else get a different visual,
Yes.
or is it just me?
No.
Okay, just
Yeah,
want
I
to
ain't
make sure.
saying nothing.
Yeah, that bus goes some places, right? No, just kidding. Anyway, so Flamish, we're making a fun joke, so don't get upset. And hopefully, I see you on Retro Renegades later or sleeping on Shadowlands, whatever. But until next time, guys. Until next week. See you guys later. Retro Renegades is going live, so please go over there and give them a listen. They're a bunch of good dudes, and I'm so sorry, Jay, that I went over this much in time, but it had some crazy topics. It's hard when you have like 2 podcasts the same day of like great people. It's just hard. But thank you everybody for who came out in the chat. Always appreciate it. See you guys over at Retro Renegades. Head over there. Bunch of cool guys. And Crispy Bomb will keep you all in check as well. And again, see you guys next week. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Bye.
Happy gaming.
Deuces.